The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered! You covered! 12 covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
Happy Monday, boys and girls. What's up? Welcome into another episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. He is Dave Sherapan. I am Matt Perrault, and we are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book. Same on Twitter, X, and replayed on Sports Grid TV and Sirius XM channel 159. You guys picked a good day to watch the show today because not only do we have one guest today, we have two guests today. And Dave, I got to say, for a kid that grew up outside of Boston who knew where Bristol, Connecticut was, and felt bad for all of them having to live and work in Bristol, Connecticut. But that was, for us, that was the epicenter. It was the sports media capital of the world. It was the mothership. We got not one, but two former Sports Center anchors. Kenny Mayne will be on here in about 15 minutes. New sports comedy doc on him and Ken Griffey Jr. Well, that with him. Yep. And then your boy Neil Everett coming in right afterwards. How are you on this Monday?
Can't wait. We might get the worlds to all collide. I'm not saying, just saying, if technology cooperates, please cooperate. Timing cooperates, please cooperate. We could have a first four box. It could work. It's going to work. If it happens, if it lines up, it's going to work. The show lined up perfectly today. No, it's not baseball season.
Feels like it.
You're in Red Sox stuff. I'm in Mets stuff. Oh, that's UNLV Rebels.
I'm wearing the red for the red. Red Sox showing solidarity, but the UNLV shirt for Kenny.
Yes, that's good. All right, good. This is going to be fun. Kenny's an all-time favorite of so many people, and he's done stuff that just nobody ever really did, and and Neil is the best. He's literally the best. Good friend of mine, been on the show once or twice here back in the beginning when we were doing it. And I haven't seen him for a while. So this is great. I mentioned that Kenny was going to be on, and I said, we need a two-team parlay. Neil, can you do it? He said, I'm in. So buckle up, settle in, get in the chat, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get comfortable. Watch time high today. Bet the over. Number of eyeballs going in. Today, watch the over. And I don't know, my favorite thing about today is baseball related too. So feels like a baseball show today, but I mean, college football is.
Yes, that will lead the show with today.
Everything.
100%.
Yeah.
I have a new nickname, Peppermint Mocha Perrault. That's different. How are you, sweet Lou? Appreciate you being here. I don't know.
Peppermint Mocha Perrault.
I don't know.
You don't even like peppermint mocha.
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, yeah. I drink because that's from a Stephanie Smalls tweet that said, I need to know how many men actually drink this.
Oh, you chimed in on that?
And I told her me. I said, I do. And she like a bunch of guys did. Our guy David Ross did, a bunch of other people did, and she was like floored. She's like, how are men drinking this drink? I said, it's fine. It's Christmas in a cup. It's great.
Christmas in a cup.
Yeah. It's nice. I mean, I'm not drinking it if I need it in the morning. It's not like a pick-me-up, but it's like an afternoon thing if I'm walking around or shopping or doing something. It's, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's not outstanding, but it's not horrible either. So I don't get the whole idea like that men can't drink a peppermint mocha. What do you mean? Why can't men drink those drinks? I don't understand.
I don't get it.
I can't drink the pink drink. That's my daughter's favorite. I can't do that thing. That's beyond.
I don't know what's happened at our local, the one by the house, the Dutch Bros, but they know the wife now, and they pull up and they get the order for Kendall.
They know it already.
Yeah, it's waiting when she pulls up because who else drives up in a van? Nobody.
True. That's true.
Nobody. So they're like, "There's the van lady. Get her kids' drink ready." I saw this happen last week because Jess picked me up first and said, we're going to run down and get Kendall her drink. I'm like, wait a second. When does Kendall, when
Get
does
a
she
drink.
get on the getting Kendall a
Right.
drink?
Right.
Like 3 days a week, the kid gets it delivered. It's ridiculous.
Come on, Rainmaker. Coffee in general is disgusting. Come on, man.
Never was a coffee drinker till
Oh.
after the stroke, but now I get it because it keeps me regular. You got it. I mean,
there you go.
It helps
It does.
get things moving.
Sure, absolutely, definitely.
So
I've always been a big coffee drinker. Since I was probably 14, 13,
the
somewhere in that range.
Dunkin' stuff.
Oh yeah, Dunkin' was the start, and then you go from Dunkin' and you kind of progress your way up, and then Starbucks. I mean, you guys got to remember how old we are. Like, we all lived in a world without Starbucks. Like, I know it's amazing, but we had a world before Starbucks. So like,
This is true.
it was like a little thing, Dunkin's was the thing that everyone had on every corner in New England. And then Starbucks came in, and then there was a big cultural fight between Starbucks and Dunkin'. There still is a big cultural fight between Starbucks and Dunkin'.
I think it's two different things
Now, but in New England, it's really two different things because, people who grew up in my neck of the woods, we would go to Starbucks. Like, there's like 3 in my town, but blue collar people would go to Dunkin's, and there'd be a big fight as to like blue collar people can't be seen at Starbucks and vice versa. Like, you just can't. It's like two. You're going to
Is it like rap, East Coast, West Coast rap?
Yes, very true. Yes, that's the rivalry. Yes, that goes. Yes, Ross Vidal. There's 4 Dunkins in your town alone. There's 4 in Andover too, but there's 4 Starbucks. So both their coffees suck.
Whoa!
If you like real coffee, there's a truth to that. I mean, that's not a horrible point. I mean, if you really like really good coffee,
Ross chose fighting words.
there is something to be said about that for all that. wait. What football guy? McDonald's food laxative keeps you feel regular too.
I don't know about. I mean, maybe depends what you get.
Oh, that's
sometimes
tremendous.
you get older, man. I mean, like, I'm 54. You got to get regular sometimes. I never had a problem until I got older. No,
This is a good point. Blue collar people are at Dunkin's before Starbucks opens. That's a really good point, WB Punch Drunk. That's true. A lot of those blue collar guys are going to work at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and Starbucks opens up around 7 or 8. That's a really good point. That is true. There's a lot of there's a Dunkin's. Yeah, JC from KC. There's a Dunkin' literally a mile from my house.
Yeah,
it's wild. And I'm in Vegas.
They popped up all over here. There's one a mile from here too.
Well, you guys now have that pink box everyone's going to go to. You got that drive-through pink box spot.
Yeah, it's different. It's not the same product.
I still can't believe there's a donut place called Pink Box, and no one finds that funny but me. I don't know.
I mean, you want to talk about pushing the limits.
I just fall down.
The merchandise inside makes you blush.
It was like in downtown Vegas, like there's a gigantic Pink Box across some Circa. And I'm like, okay, fine. Pink Box, Vegas-based. But out by you in like suburbia, they have this like gigantic drive-through huge donut thing that says Pink Box everywhere. So there you go. You know how it is. All right, let's get to it before we get to Kenny Mayne. We have the bracket. It's officially out.
Yes.
SMU is in. Alabama is out. Here is the official NCAA tournament.
Excuse me. It's nothing to sneeze at.
Bracket. Here it is.
Gosh.
1 seed, Oregon, Big Ten champs, beat Penn State over the weekend. 2 seed, Georgia, SEC champs, won over the weekend against Texas. 3 seed, Boise State, won over the weekend against UNLV. And the 4 seed, Arizona State, won over the weekend, won the Big 12 against Iowa State. Your at-large teams, Texas 5, Penn State 6, Notre Dame 7, 8 Ohio State, 9 Tennessee, 10 Indiana, 11 SMU, and number 12, the ACC champ in Clemson here. At first blush, what jumped out at you when you saw the bracket, Dave?
At first blush, they somehow created a TV show out of it that lasted 4 hours. Okay.
Didn't watch a second.
All I needed was 30 minutes.
Right.
And I mean, listen, I could still do 30 minutes if you know what I'm saying.
There you go.
That's fine. All right. Dialed in, ready to go. All fluffed up, excited. Where are we lining these teams up? It got down to that last one right there. And I thought, they're going to do it. They're going to send Bama to Penn State and blow up the internet. And they're going to send – this is going to be amazing. Perfect for content. Perfect for everybody. And I went, whoo, they're going to do it. They're actually going to do it. And then they didn't do it. They did the right thing. They put SMU in. SMU should go in. And I've been debating it all day yesterday with some people that if SMU didn't come back in that game, that line would have said Alabama, although it probably should have said Ole Miss or South Carolina.
There's no debate. It says Alabama. It says it right here. This is from the official NCAA website. This is the official seeding.
Yeah.
There's no debate. Alabama is in. If SMU does not win,
come back.
Come back, excuse me, and make it close.
They didn't win.
Right, sorry. They don't make it close. If they get blown out, they flip-flop. Bama is 10 and SMU is 11, and they are left out.
Yeah.
Ole Miss wouldn't have been wins, they had Ole Miss below Miami.
Yeah.
So that's 2 losses against 3 losses. So that wouldn't have happened. It would have been up to Alabama or Miami, and I think they're taking Alabama over if SMU got killed. So SMU coming back 100% allowed them to get in.
Yeah.
I mean, Bama got slated 11th. They're actually slotted ahead of Arizona State. I mean, according to the power rankings by the committee, Alabama is a better fit for the bracket than Arizona State is.
Right.
But Arizona State now is in because they got the at-large bid, which is 100% okay with me. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted at-large bids. I wanted to make the conferences have an automatic opportunity to make, regardless of what anyone says, to have 4 teams to get in. My problem with the bracket, aside from Alabama being out, which I would have put Alabama in this bracket over SMU, I have Alabama in, not SMU, but is the fact that Boise State gets a 3 seed in this thing. And I can't for the life of me figure out how the committee can justify this, how they
under the structure of the format. There is no really other way. I'm not saying it's right. I think
why can't they be the 5 seed? They could be the 5 seed. I mean, they don't have to be the 3 seed.
Wait, you can lose a conference game and be the 3 or the 4? You can lose a conference championship and be the 3
the only guarantee is that you're in the bracket. There's no guarantee for a bye for a group of 5 team. Group of 5 just has to be part of the bracket. They're guaranteed to be in the bracket. That's the only thing that's guaranteed. So they went number 1 seed. They were not comfortable giving a conference. They weren't comfortable saying, hey, if you're the number 2 team in the ACC, number 2 team in the Big Ten, we're going to put you behind Boise, who won the Mountain West Conference. They were worried about that. So the fact that there is a 3 seed Boise in this is hysterical to me, because when you go and do what we do and you pull numbers and you say, okay, well, what do the numbers say about Boise? Boise State is the last team, 65-1. They have the farthest odds to win the national championship of every team listed. Of the 12 in the bracket, Boise is 65-1 on this. Clemson is 60-1. Arizona State is 60-1. SMU is 45-1. These are your at-large bids. Okay? These are your at-large bids. So I have a problem with that. And I have an issue with that. And I don't believe that Boise State should be given a bye. So I would have made them play on the road, which is what happens all the time. I mean, look what happens in the play-in tournament. Teams that make the bracket, okay, you're in, you won the bracket, but you're not going to we don't think you have a shot to win the thing. So we're sending you to Dayton. You're going to go play in Dayton. You know,
play in Dayton.
No, that's
where they sending these people.
That's what the committee is. The ACC champ is the 12 seed. If Arizona State played Boise State, give me a number. What's the number? Arizona State, Boise State on a neutral.
Boy, it could go either way. I mean, some guys might tell you Boise's favorite. I think Arizona State's favorite.
I think Arizona State's favorite, personally. I'd be surprised to see Boise State being on a neutral. In Boise, I would agree with you 100%. They played in weather, played in cold, up in Boise, absolutely. But Boise played nobody. They played 1 game and they lost. This idea of like, well, they played Oregon close. Who cares? You lost. Like, you played them close. Bama played Vandy close and lost. Like, who cares if you played somebody close? If you lost, you lost, period. So,
Well, but again, that whole thing matters. It does matter.
What matters? About how well you looked, how well you played? I disagree. SMU lost.
Well,
SMU's out.
But people are basing the information on the wins and losses by how much they were favored by, which means nothing either. Just for the record.
Yeah, Arizona State being ranked behind Boise State as a conference champion is a joke.
I don't care about the rankings. Never did, never will.
But the rankings matter for the buys.
People that don't even watch the games doing the rankings. So
but the
all you SEC people can stop.
Why?
Today talking about the rankings, because you've now seen what the rest of the world has seen.
Well, okay,
with the rankings.
As a Big Ten guy, you admit this is a Big Ten bracket. This is a gift to the Big Ten.
The guy at the top of the committee is a Big Ten guy.
Yeah. And so there's no shock to SEC people why there are 4 teams in for the Big Ten and only 3 from the SEC. There's no shock that Penn State got the best draw out of anybody in the entire thing. They gave the runner-up the best draw. Why they screwed Oregon, I have no idea. But they screwed Oregon entirely, and they gave Penn State just like Oregon I thought they would.
The 1 seed.
It has a way harder draw than Penn State.
And got the shortest travel.
Okay, the travel, but look at the opponent. Forget that. I guarantee you Oregon would change places with you guys in 2 seconds for travel.
They should have thrown the game then.
Well, that's what I said to do. Remember, I said Penn State should lose the game, and they did. It was better for Penn State to lose the Big Ten championship. I just thought it meant more to Penn State than it did Oregon. I just didn't think Penn State's defense would give up 45 points. They got boat raced by Oregon, and I was surprised that Oregon's defense gave up 35.
That was a boat race at all. That was 2 teams trading scores. That game was a dead over from the beginning. Penn State gashed Oregon's defense.
They did, 100%.
Gashed them.
But that was expected, though.
Expected.
That's why
Penn State to score 37 points.
I didn't 30, but I had them to win the game. I thought Penn State would win the game outright.
That's what I'm saying. There was no expectations, none of that stuff. But I mean, we got the fault of the bracket isn't the teams that are in; it's where they're at.
That too.
The buys and the stuff it's ridiculous. So,
well, yeah,
I mean, can you imagine if UNLV would have won?
Oh, well, then they would have been a 12 seed. They would have been behind Arizona State, and I would have been okay with that. Like, 21-7 wasn't that impressive. I mean, I didn't come away with Friday night going like, wow, UNLV had no business being in that football game. They missed field goals, hit the upright. They just didn't perform in the clutch. They had a couple of bad plays, bad turnovers, and bad penalties. It's hard. I underestimated, the kids from the desert. I forget what playing in 20 degrees is like. That was me. Anybody on this bracket before we get to Kenny? We'll talk about the games individually here in a second, but Kenny Mayne's waiting on us. Anybody on this bracket number wise jump out at you from a value perspective?
You just have to pick the final. If you can pick the final, I think it's
isn't there a lot of value on Clemson?
Well, there's tremendous value on Clemson, but I mean,
60-1.
It's a 4-game parlay, and they're double-digit dogs every step of the way. If they win the first game, I mean, it gets cut in half.
Okay,
you go from 60 to 40. No, you go from 60 to 30, most likely.
Okay. They'll play Arizona State.
Yeah, they could get to the Final Four for sure.
They can beat Arizona State for sure.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, if you think the winner of the Indiana-Notre Dame game has a shot against Georgia, you got to pick them. I mean, because Georgia has a lot of question marks. So if Beck isn't playing,
I like the Stockton kid. I like the Stockton kid.
So do a lot of people. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it. I don't want to keep Kenny waiting because he was a quarterback once, and maybe we could ask him about all that stuff.
The one and the only Kenny Mayne joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Kenny, Matt, and Dave, how are you? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
I apologize. I was actually late because it took me that long to figure out how to move the link over to Chrome. It's not supported by Safari.
Sorry.
I did it like I've done this before. Zoom is my favorite one. No offense to if you guys are big StreamYard people over there. Sponsored by StreamYard, this show. But for those who don't know, you get a link and you click on it. Sometimes there you go. You're talking to people. Other times you got to move it over to a different site. computer technology. Neil Everett's never getting on your show. But
There is.
no
I've
way.
told you, Kenny, it's a
There's
big
no
no.
way.
I already texted him and said, listen, it's TV gold. If we could get you and Kenny on at the same time, he won't even respond. Kenny, he won't even
Does he
respond.
even have a phone? He never did Twitter. He didn't, and Twitter's falling apart, by the way. But yeah, so it took me that long. I had some help from my friend that said, no, you got to copy, you got to Command C, and then you got to take it to the top, the URL little thingy.
Yes.
It worked out ultimately. I got about 20 excuses about that UNLV game. Firstly, the very first, and Boise State, take nothing away. That's a really good team. That running back's ridiculous. Opening drive, do we have like 3 first downs? Like bang, 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 moving up the field, had a dumb penalty, then a terrible 20-yard sack. And like it would have been so nice to open up with at least a 3, right? Just come down the field, be in the game. Then they had the 80-some yard run to the 4. Immediately, what do we have? A delay a game, I think. That always happens. Didn't even score there. Went for it on 4th down, got nothing. So you're still nothing. Then you finally score, and I was like, visions of grandeur here. Like, if we score again, and we could have, now you got to either get one drive like a pro style, minute and a half, try to do it. So while Boise State was the better team, you really can't deny they played a better game. They're a strong team. The 20-degree weather didn't help. We have a handful of pretty solid excuses, but again, Boise State, good going. They've been a good program for a while, and they got a strong running back up against the guy who played both ways down at Colorado, so that's tough for him. Picked the wrong year to go for 3,000 yards.
Right? Yeah. We got business to get to, and we will, but we got a couple questions.
We got a StreamYard commercial, I'm sure, right out of the gate.
We have no commercials and no filter and no bosses. So you can say whatever the hell you want, however the hell you want to say it. So
correct.
First order of business is, Kenny, what was it like going to UNLV in the late 70s, early 80s when you did? Because it's very different now. They play home games in this Allegiant Stadium, and, Matt and I live here. I've been here for 21 years now. My middle daughter did a year there. We're very familiar. Matt is an adjunct professor at UNLV.
Yeah.
It looks very different now than it probably did when you showed up from that JUCO to come down here and play football.
And it looked very different than from my parents going there to watch nuclear explosions above ground in the 40s and 50s, But we still thought it was exciting. I mean, the first month, you literally go out every single night. You're going, got to see this, got to see that. And then eventually you kind of like, I can't do this. I'm 19 and I can't even keep up with this. And you have no money. I mean, I think our scholarship check was $480 a month, which doesn't sound like very much today, but it was enough to get by in 79, 80. You had like 200 rent, make your 200 last. You had a little money from your summer job or whatever. But the strip was just like straight up and down, north and south. You knew where everything was. Now we got all these side roads, and it's confusing even now. And I've been back many times, but it was an exciting time. But you definitely, at least I did, and I think most of my teammates, you took the football very seriously. You took your school seriously. There was only so much time to go screw around and do other stuff. So it wasn't at all the distraction that everybody paints it to be. There's a lot of parents, I can't let my kid go to Las Vegas. It's like they're going to get doing that kind of stuff wherever they go. If they go to Pullman, Washington, they're going to be drinking in the dorms or whatever.
Yes.
So, you have those distractions, and now you have such opportunity. If you're in sports broadcasting today, I can't think of a better place to go than UNLV. Every sport comes through Las Vegas. Name any sport there, and you get to go cover it as an intern or as a cub reporter or whatever, and get that kind of experience. So there's a whole bunch of good things to recommend about coming out there for school and hopefully for football as well.
Yeah, Kenny, I teach a audio broadcasting course at UNLV. So I guess my question would be, today my kids, actually, as I'm talking right now, kids are submitting their final today to me for my class. What advice would you give to a kid who's looking to go either into journalism or broadcasting? You mentioned UNLV is a great place to be, but do you have any advice for the next generation? Because a lot of them are trying to figure out what the heck to do in this ever-changing world of media and consolidation. And they see a lot of people out of work, frankly, people being laid off left and right in media. Is there advice you would give to a young person coming out?
I think the first one is just be doing something. when I was in my freelance period, I went to Seattle, started as a gopher, finally got on TV, left that job. And I had like a 3 or 4 year period where I was trying to get to ESPN. And so it's the same case for somebody just coming out of school. I basically was unemployed, trying to figure out my life. I would like make up work, and you have better chance to do so today. Let's say you love women's basketball, or you love lacrosse, or whatever your sport is that you think you know a lot about. Go start covering it on your own. Don't worry about the money yet. Shoot it on your iPhone, put out your little reports, create a YouTube page, stick it on Instagram. So you can kind of be developing and making your mistakes while maybe not getting paid yet. Maybe you get lucky and somebody likes you and they want to pay you a certain amount for that school to be their guy or their girl. I would be in Seattle and I would call every TV station in the city the Seahawks were playing, right? Seahawks had a home game against Kansas City, as an example. I'd grab the NFL Black Book, call the 11 TV stations in the greater area. Are you sending a crew? And if they said no, I said, I can be your crew. And we'd negotiate a price. I'd pay a cameraman. I'd be the guy doing interviews after the game. And then we'd stick it on a satellite, and they would look like they had a reporter at the Chiefs Seahawks game or whatever the case. That's just like a good example of, I kind of got inventive, and I figured here's a way I can market myself, make a few dollars, and still get more experience. I think today, even though, like you said, the job market, who the hell even knows anymore? Companies are consolidating and cutting back and being bought and sold, but there's still TV channels, there's still radio, there's still podcasts. In fact, more and more. And some people do, a healthy living just, getting on Instagram or getting on Twitter, what was Twitter, and just kind of making a name for himself that way. So be doing something, maybe take a second job that pays the bills. My wife was a teacher, had to work 2 other jobs to get by when she first got out of school, working as a bartender or something at night. So there are more opportunities, even if the whole of the industry is kind of unknown right now. They seem to be paying insane amount of money to some people, and then they consolidate and knock out the little people because
that's unbelievable.
It's fewer. But that's true with a lot of businesses, right? You see that where companies will come in, buy a company, kind of like break it down for parts and make a profit off of it. But I'm very bullish on the fact that there's still going to be opportunities, and there still are all sorts of different ways to get your story out there and get your writing out there.
Hustle. You got to hustle. That's what I tell. I mean, I coach my daughters and, the kids I coach. You have to work. You have to put in the work. And if you put in the work.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but to that point, our last kid just went to college. So 2 graduated, one's at USC, one's in New York City at Barnard. And everybody gets hung up about what school you're going to. And there's this competition, and people are doing the SAT practices when they're in 9th grade. And, I just think there's way too much pressure on these middle school and high school kids about where they're going to go, where they're going to end up, because that's to say, if you don't make it to Notre Dame, or you don't make it to, an Ivy League school or Stanford or whatever, then you're nothing. Like, that's kind of stupid, because the real truth is, once you get out doing what you do, nobody even asks what school you went to. They didn't ask if you graduated. They want to see your last story you wrote or the last stand-up you did. So even though it's not a bad thing to go to a well-recommended school and a high prestige, there's nothing wrong with that. But it isn't to say somebody could come out of Western Washington and Bellingham, Washington, and be the next great at whatever he or she wants to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And listen, I read this Mike Seeley story. Mike Seeley's a friend of mine. I read the story he wrote on you. You were picking up garbage and doing like, you got to do stuff in between. Is that real, Kenny? You were actually a garbage can guy?
Back when I went to UNLV, just before actually my summer job, and one winter time, I was a garbage man in Seattle. It was like a part-time job and made pretty decent money, hanging on the back of the truck. Years later, when I left my TV job in Seattle, I'd been interviewed by ESPN, but I hadn't been hired. So for some reason, I quit that job. Don't even ask. And now I went through like a 3 or 4 year struggle of freelancing, the Kansas City example. I did freelance for ESPN, for Prime, for NBA Entertainment, for TSN in Canada. Anybody who would have me do something, they knew I was out in Seattle. Hey, go interview Gary Payton. We want to use a soundbite and whatever. I just stayed in the game, right?
Yep.
And one of my side jobs during that time was a garbage can assembler. I literally made garbage cans, and that got me through a few months. Then I sold prepaid legal insurance. Then I could
that was hard.
I could sell you right now. Just, sir, God forbid there be any serious situations in your life, but with prepaid legal insurance, you'll have an attorney at your disposal. It's only $9.95 a month. We'll just put it on your card. Can I get my supervisor?
Hey, my dad retired and had to do that too. So I still have the prepaid legal insurance cards, Kenny.
It's actually a thriving business,
No
so
doubt.
we're laughing about it, but they're doing pretty well, I think.
We were too early. You were too early. Like,
know,
if you'd have hung on
game.
now, it would have been a monster.
Yeah, I mean, when I tried to go back to Garbage Man, the guy in charge said, hey, we're down to one-man crews now. They got the claw that picks up the can. They don't need it in the back. The industry had passed me by in those intervening years. But eventually, I bothered ESPN enough times. ESPN2 was added. Keith Olbermann went back to one. Stuart Scott moved up to be the main anchor with Susie Colbert, and they needed one more guy, and that was me. And going back to like what schools you pick, these highly regarded in a bunch of cases. Even at my time, it wasn't as much the case, like nationally known and things, but I had a great group of people that taught me. Barbara Cloud in journalism, and Al Paterud in broadcasting, and Dina Titus, your representative, was my political science instructor.
Wow.
I had really strong support from the faculty there, and Dr. Al used to just give us all sorts of rope to go experiment and just do your thing. Go out and make something up. We're not going to even care if it's good or if it's bad, but the opportunity for you to go and figure it out on your own, that was really what the goal of the class was.
How do you get a guy like Barry Odom to stay then? Because he leaves yesterday, he takes a big money deal to go to Purdue, and it's a Power, 5 school and all this other stuff. But I mean, Matt and I went to multiple games this year, covered them, and went as fans and took the kids, and it was exciting to be good at football here, because I went to Penn State, and Matt grew up in Boston, and his Patriots been good his whole life. I mean, not his whole, but it was fun, Kenny. And now it's kind of a bummer, because I mean, the basketball was before we moved here, and they haven't been good. There was a little bit of buzz in the city, and it's done now. We're
not necessarily done, but losing him doesn't help right away. I'll give you that much. They'll figure it out. They're in a bowl game. Hopefully, there's some momentum from doing well in that. That's coming up in like a week.
Yeah.
But it's part of it is that's just life. I don't really begrudge him. If he thought for him and his family that was a better thing, I can't be mad at him for that. He gave us a couple really great years, turned the program in the right direction. Not that it wasn't terrible before. Coach Arroyo actually had it slightly going the right way. Then he came in and we really took off. So a whole bunch of schools would love to say they had 10 wins, and now it could be 11 with a bowl win. I'm not bumming out yet, because I think a lot of people saw the fun they had in Vegas. The town has its own attraction. The school is great and building up. I still think there's a lot of good stuff to sell. Whoever is named the coach, that's going to bring in some good kids, and hopefully a lot of them stay around.
I grew up, like Dave said, outside of Boston, watching SportsCenter, watching Bristol. I went to UMass. One of my journalism, we took my entire group of the sports department at WMUA, the radio station. We came down, we sat on the desks at SportsCenter, and we pretended like we were going to be you guys. And
that's what I did. I did that for 27 years.
Right. You just sat there and had an amazing time. What's the group like, the fraternity, the group of people that had the job that you, Scott Van Pelt, the Keith Olbermanns of the world? I know Neil, obviously you stay in touch. What's that like, being a part of the group of people that sat in that chair for so many years?
It's funny because there's sort of like different eras of it. I was second generation, right? I wasn't in the very first that start. In fact, what's funny about it, when ESPN started, I was at UNLV, 1979. And I distinctly remember even saying it, like, who the hell wants 24 hours of sports? Like, I played football, been in the sports my whole life, right? I didn't quite see the value of this, because remember in the early days, they'd go to like the business channel overnight, right? Or they go to color bars. They didn't have 24 hours program, but eventually they did. So I was kind of like the next generation. 15 years later, when they brought in some new people, they added ESPN2. But yeah, definitely fond memories, thinking that you were part of something that ends up being quoted and ends up, kind of part of Americana. They're still doing great stuff. A lot of people will criticize it like it's changed. There's definitely lots of different programming on, but SportsCenter, kind of the mainstay of it, is still a really good show. They got good people doing good shows.
But you guys, Kenny, I mean, you guys brought something to that I think back to the kids for a second about looking for jobs. The entertainment factor. I can find a highlight anywhere on my phone today, but a Kenny Mayne hosted show doing a highlight is a different experience from a viewership perspective. Isn't it still all about entertainment? Like, forget about just telling stats and scores and highlights and whatnot, but it's still about the entertainment factor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think there were different schools of thought on it. Some people thought that some of us, Stuart and me and some of the others, took it too far and were having too much fun and being too silly. Other people are like, no, that's why I am watching. I already know the score is 5-4. I want to hear how you describe it. And it's the same today. You know, the way Van Pelt does his, the way Chris Berman's still doing great football highlights. But, you know, there were some kind of the old guard that thought that we were having too much fun. Like, you got to get it. So Stuart was really smart about it. He would overload the highlight with just truckload of statistics and save room for his booyahs and whatever else he wanted to put in. But, you know, I think you take serious things seriously and the rest of it less so. And when we had some terrible thing happen, a death or a crime story or investigation, we had the background in journalism to know how to write those stories and present them as they should be presented. But if it's Lakers playing the Knicks and some guy does some crazy thing, why would you not want to have fun with it and bring in cultural references or make up your new silly line for a home run call or whatever the case be? And I think that's why people watch. You look forward. What are they going to do tonight at 11? I can't wait for Dan and Keith to call the game the way they're going to call it.
I'll never forget. I was watching the night that or the day that Kobe passed. You were working, right? Yeah, that was serious. It was time to be serious, and you were serious. But again, there were so many things that you said, and I know either I was at home watching or in a sports book working and watching, and we had you on, and we were laughing out loud funny. So this is really cool to actually meet you and talk to you.
Here's
but after
dog. Wait,
what's the dog's name, Kenny?
Muller. Turn. Look at the guy.
Muller.
Hi, Muller.
Hey, look at Muller.
Right there. You're on
there we go. Oh,
that's a cute dog.
We have 2 dogs and 2 cats.
Wait, okay. and how many kids?
4 girls. So Gretchen had 2.
You're an all girl dad too?
Gretchen had 2 and I had 2. So together we have 4. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He has 3. I have 1.
And Matt has 1. We're all girl dads. Kenny, I had hair before all these girls. It's gone. Yep. They got it all.
All right, Dave, hold on. Wait. Do you want me to try to pull this off? Neil's here.
How did he figure out how to?
You ask him, Kenny. You ask him.
Okay. I'm gonna try to pull this off. Okay. I have no idea if I can or not pull this off.
This is gonna work.
I know
it's gonna work.
I don't know if this is gonna work. Hold on 1 second. If this is gonna work, let's see if we could.
Come in, Neil.
Oh my gosh!
It worked.
There he is. It worked.
Neil Everett running the show. Neil,
moon landing.
Is your mic working?
Is my mic working?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Holy crap, Kenny!
Oregon,
I feel like we just landed on the moon. You're right. Are you wearing an Oregon hat? Where did you? You told me you're traveling. This is bullshit.
First of all, Kenny, I'm sorry to see that the times are so tight. We've had to not pay the lighting bill.
Let me work on that. You guys talk for a minute. Let me see.
All right. I'm here to promote my movie. I'm Skee Ball with Ken Griffey Sr.
Wait a second.
We haven't even. Wait, how's that?
Better.
Wait, that's better.
Wait, look at this. Right here.
Look at that.
That's from the movie.
Whoa. Whiffle ball. We're going to talk about Whiffle ball. Absolutely. We have to promote because I can't wait to hear about the day that you had in 1989.
Neil, where are you right now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. All right. You did
in my backyard.
All right. That's good. Everything.
You wearing your Penn State hat?
No, I put it away right now. I didn't want to disrespect you after you guys, kicked our ass and went up and down the field. Were you excited Were you excited on Saturday?
Yeah, I was nervous. I mean, it's nice to come into that big shot conference and win it in your first year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you didn't have to play Washington and Mike Penix this year, so it was
an
easier road.
We had to play Washington. We didn't have to play Mike Penix.
That's true.
I'll ask you both. How does it feel to have Oregon in the Big Ten? I still can't. Kenny, I mean, you grew up there. Like, there's
grew
no
up
more
with
Pac-12. It's
I grew up with
unbelievable.
The Pac-8. In fact, I watched Washington State and Oregon. Dan Fouts was the quarterback. Bobby Moore, who would be Ahmad Rashad, against Bernard Jackson, the great runner for Washington State. I go way back. Sonny Six-Killer at Washington. Ty Payne.
Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan.
He came later, though. Yeah. No, I'm so old. I'm a Pac-8 guy, then 10 and 12. And when the Pac-8 added teams, that even seemed weird, right? Like, that was enough of a change. But, it's just the landscape. Everybody, just like the players and the coaches, they look out for themselves for whatever the next better deal is. Conferences did the same thing. I don't know who the hell's in any conference anymore. If I would fail the Sports Center PA test badly, but also I don't care. But I'm happy for Neil, even though Oregon ruined my life. But other than that, I love the state of Oregon. I love Neil, and I'm happy for the Ducks.
Are you going to the Rose Bowl, Neil?
Oh yeah, for sure. I might even go to the parade.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
I might meet you there then.
Neil, we asked this question to Kenny. I want to ask it to you as well about working at ESPN back when ESPN Sports Center was such an iconic thing. What are some of your memories of working with Kenny? What are some of your memories just being there? Because as a kid who grew up outside of Boston, Bristol, Connecticut was sort of like that was Wizard of Oz type stuff, like that whole campus that you guys worked on. What are some of your memories of working with Kenny and working at ESPN?
Oh, how much you loved Connecticut.
Well, I never, really dreamt of getting to ESPN. It was never in the plan. It kind of fell into my lap, and so I was a fan of certain people as just a sports watcher. And Kenny Mayne was one of my favorites for obvious reasons. So then the first time I ever got to work with him, I'm like, wow. I mean, I was like, I was awestruck, and seriously. And the beauty of it is I went from being a co-worker of Kenny Mayne's to being a friend of Kenny Mayne's, and the friendship that was born out of the job is the best thing that ever happened to me with the job.
That's sweet. You didn't have a good answer before, but you didn't ask me about Neil in particular. You just wanted to highlight stuff.
Right.
Well, yeah, but Connecticut was your place, though, right? Like
Kenny would crack me up sometimes. I would be laughing so hard, and we wouldn't be on camera. Maybe we would, and Kenny would go, "Oh, we've lost Uncle Neil." And I'm snotting up, my eyes are watering, I'm laughing so hard.
And so one of my favorite things was Neil has a nephew who's got to be like 18 by now or something, right?
21.
Yeah. And I regularly would screw up like a hockey player name or whatever it was. And his nephew gave me a hard time through Neil. So every show after that, if there was a hard name and I got it, what's the kid's name again?
Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer. I'd be like, fuck you, Spencer. I just got it right. Okay?
No, on the air he would say, "In your face, nephew Spencer."
It's too good.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
Neil,
nephew Spencer was in Seattle. He told me a few years ago on the pier or something, and he sees Kenny Mayne, and he runs out and introduces himself. So it comes full circle.
No, I don't know if you guys know this part. Our other running joke was how Oregon broke my leg. Oregon room. So at UNLV, we were at Oregon my junior year, game 5, 6, somewhere there. Last play of the game ruined my ankle for life. So I've held it against Oregon and Oregon people. The kid was just trying to grade out on film on Monday. It's probably some freshman last play. I'm going to make a tackle, but left me on the field. And when they pan in the old school ways of the film, you go left to right and you end up on the scoreboard, and you see me just still like, there. So I played the next year. But now all these years later, actually, it leads to a very good full circle healing of it all. I got this leg device that lets me do stuff. I can play flag football. I just ran sprints yesterday, not very fast. Wow. Play golf.
Without pain, Kenny, right?
No pain. And then we started a foundation, and we give these devices to veterans who have similar ankle issues for whatever reason. We've helped about 50 years.
Are you faster than Rich Eisen?
I think I could take Rich. That'd be a good one.
Who would win a race between you two?
I don't know. I haven't seen Neil run. I'm slowing down. I can still
Kenny, because I don't care.
There you go.
You know what?
You
Warren Moon told me a long time ago. We did a story. He at the time was the all-time fumbles leader. So we pretended that he was born with butter patties on his hands, and he had to go to James Andrews of Birmingham, Alabama, the famous surgeon. And we got a different gentleman to put his hand like that was going to be Warren's hand, and he scrapes the butter off. Warren comes back and he can play pro football again. Meanwhile, Dave Craig, who didn't get the butter surgery, can't even hold a golf club. It's just like flank. Yeah, you can Google it. Just Google Butterfingers or whatever.
That's amazing.
Is that Dave Craig from Tiny Milton College?
Which no longer exists. Yeah.
Neil,
Dave Craig was in one of my favorite stories I ever did. We blew up a car in a desert. Dave Craig comes up on horseback. There's a Sopranos. Tony Sirico threatened me. He wanted Super Bowl tickets in real life. So we made our story about the fact I needed to get Super Bowl tickets. That's why my car ended up blowing up. You know, like it was like a Sopranos stick-off. Google my name and Super Bowl. It's the first thing that pops up on YouTube.
Wow. Neil, why did you guys get the entertainment angle? Like we're having the time of our lives right now, but I feel like I'm watching you guys, do your stuff on TV. Why were you guys so comfortable and so natural when it came to the comedy side of being a broadcaster?
Well, I think if you're, I guess maybe because we did it to crack ourselves up, and if anybody else got the joke, good. But we're not curing cancer. We're doing a Red Sox highlight. So,
right.
and the E stands for entertainment. So, go out and let it rip and have fun. And Kenny really showed us, that, like, I remember anytime I was doing the show with Kenny, which I always greatly anticipated, it's like, okay, I gotta bring a different game. This is going to be Rowan and Martin, and I gotta make sure I can Martin it, because I'm with one of the funniest dudes. I mean, when people ask me about Kenny Mayne, I'm like, hey, first of all, he's a great guy, but second of all, he's exactly in person as he is on the air, which is spectacular. I mean, he'll crack you up walking to the coffee shop.
Well, you guys think that comes across games up, right?
Say again.
You guys ramped each other's games.
Oh, for sure. Neil brought the best stuff out of me as well. The key thing, though, is it's overused about being authentic, but it's true. Like, I think the way we are conveying things right now isn't all that dissimilar, except we had a tie on and we had to get the scores right. The key thing was, though, is what's the old doctor's adage about first do no harm, So you got to get the score right. You got to get the names right. If you screw up the name, you find a way to make a joke out of it, or the other guy says the name right. You help each other out, right? The more comfortable you are with the material, the better chance you have at throwing in your other nonsense, right? But if you're like doing something that you're unfamiliar with, and they give you a shitty shot sheet, and you're looking at it, you're live TV, and you're just now seeing this piece of paper. You've never seen that highlight, and you think I'm going to call Romania versus Slovenia, team handball. No. So then you start minimizing. I would say things like, that player who made that play doesn't like to be identified individually. He's a team player. He doesn't care about the accolades. You find a way to dance around it if you're in a big hole. But most of the time, even just through osmosis, you just start, you're not working nightly. You pick up, this guy plays for Montreal and this guy plays for whoever. And, it all kind of comes together eventually.
Kenny, did Neil ever help you out with the gambling stuff?
What's that?
Did Neil ever help you out with the gambling stuff?
Not really. I mean, we would occasionally discuss who we liked. Horse racing, we'd have those conversations.
That horse racing was the one thing that I would turn to Kenny and say, "Who do you like?" And I remember one time. I don't know if Kenny will remember this. I said put 100 on. I think I left it on a text. Put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, "Hey, I never got the text." And I'm like,
no!
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe. Like, it's too late. Get an app. You know?
Are you accusing Kenny of owing you like 2 dimes, Neil? What are you doing right now?
It was a big take that day.
It was
But
probably
listen,
2 to 5.
he needs the money. He needs the money. Look at the lighting.
There's Gretchen. Say hi to Neil. There's Gretchen.
Oh, Neil.
Hey, hi.
Oh,
Neil.
there's the best thing about Kenny Mayne right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're the best thing. I love you. I miss you.
Where are you going?
Yes, absolutely.
Gretchen's going to the mall. Bye to Gretchen.
Tis the season.
Gretchen.
Yeah, careful with the traffic.
Coupons.
Neil,
Okay?
can you walk into a bar without anybody
Coupons and
yelling
sales?
Jack at you?
Say again.
Yes, I can walk into. I can walk into a bar and they'll say, "Hey, Bucci." So
I get Rich Eisen, Trey Wingo. One time I was in a men's restroom somewhere at an event, and the guy said Stuart Scott, and I thought he was just being funny, right?
Right.
And then we were washing our hands. Where I said, and there's this weird silence because we haven't acknowledged that I'm not Stuart Scott, and I said, I'm not. You just got the names. I'm not Stuart Scott. He said, you guys, you're.
Oh no!
I think what it is, people have watched, through the years, 2 different anchors on a Thursday and then the Friday, and this new guy comes in and they just have a bunch of names up here and they say the wrong one sometimes. But I can see Trey Wingo, old white guys, gray hair, Rich.
I get Stan Everett all the time.
Oh no!
One of my favorite periods was Neil had moved out to LA with Stan, right? They started the whole LA Sports Center thing. I had left Connecticut to move back to Seattle, and I was doing football stories and around the world stories, the wider world of sports, all that. And then they wanted some sports centers, and the best way to do them was run down to LA. I was basically the backup for if Neil needed a night off to go to a Dead show. Can you come down on a Friday? Or Stan's golfing for 2 days, whatever. So sometimes I do 5 in a row, but that was so fun. Just the whole thing, flying down to LA, being by the beach, running in to do the late sports center, which wasn't nearly as late as the late one in Connecticut, right? 3 hour better. Like they're late in Connecticut. You don't get home till 3 and 4 in the morning. The late one in LA, it's like midnight. Like that's a reasonable time of day. You're not completely a shell of yourself the next day.
Ken, we have not talked about the movie yet. So
that's complete bullshit. That's the whole reason I'm on here.
Correct. It is the whole reason you're on here is to talk about the movie. We haven't talked about Whiffle Ball yet. 1989, you and Ken Griffey Jr., you showed the picture. Where did the comedy documentary premise come from, and what are they going to see when they watch it?
Well, strangely, it came from Griffey, although he didn't want to be in it ultimately, like to be interviewed or be a part of it. So I was at the Seattle Sports Award Show a couple of years ago, and he gave this beautiful speech. It was like my favorite Griffey moment, really, besides his great athletic ability as a Mariner. Just gave this really humble, funny speech. Very warm. He was getting like the same award that Fred Couples will get at this year's event, right? And Griffey brought up the wiffle ball time that we had together from 34 years ago, and I'm like, if he's still thinking about it. There's something, I got to find that tape. And the tape had been in garages and basements and moving vans all over the country.
Like a Betamax or a VHS?
It was on a
tape?
broadcast Beta SP. So for the younger kids, you don't know. When I first started in TV, they used film. And my first day on the job was the last day they used film. Then they moved to 3/4 inch tape. Then it was this 1/2 inch tape. Anyway, Griffey, Harold Reynolds, and I did a little feature story, and as part of it, we threw wiffle balls at the Seattle Science Center, the Pacific Science Center. And like I said, I had this tape all these years. So the point of the documentary is to look back at that day and time and tell the truth of what happened. Did I beat him? What happened that day? Ken Burns is in it. We got music from The Head and the Heart, Pearl Jam, a rapper named Sam LaChow up in Seattle. The head of wiffle ball. I hired a science professor from the University of Washington to analyze the tape.
Wow.
So it's like a 1/2 hour, just stupidity, pointlessness, but it's fun seeing Griffey at 19 and finding out if I can beat my number. I go to Driveline Baseball, where they train all the athletes in Kent. And it was fun. And Fubo Sports is the one that put it out. So if you're a Fubo subscriber, click on demand as many times.
Trey Wingo plays Kenny Mayne in the movie.
No, I played myself. I financed it myself, directed it, authored it, starred in it. I'm everything. And hopefully it leads us to getting to do our next one and our next one.
We need to do another one with the two of you. Can
Right?
you get Neil involved in the movie too? I mean, like, I'll just
The next movie is going to be playing skee ball with Ken Griffey Sr. on the Seaside Boardwalk.
For the Trello Fair.
The chat
subscribers. Let's go. Do your job.
Yeah, the chat wants to know Amazon Freebie, LG channels, Samsung TV Plus, Sling Free Stream, the Roku channel, Vizio Watch Free, Tubi, Plex, and Tabo plus Fubo Sports. It's part of their subscription.
It's playing right now on your TV. Just go watch it. Just
you go find it right now.
Your TV is right up there. There's one of our two kittens. Hold on. It's Walter.
That's a kitten.
That's a kitten.
That's not a kitten.
Oh wow.
Cat's like, what is going on?
What are you doing?
That cat, he could claw your face off at any minute. You don't know what he's capable of.
Cats are crazy.
I love cats. I didn't think I did. Now that we have them, I love them.
Really? Yeah. Neil, what do you got there?
He's got a dog. He's got his dog.
Dog guy.
Oh, dog guy.
Dog guy. What's dog?
I got 3 dogs. I got 3 dogs and a cat.
I didn't know you had a cat too.
Wait. Do you want to see our cat? Want to see our Christmas
cat
tree?
Was our next door. I'm talking. Kenny, I'm talking. Kenny, I'm talking. The cat was our next door neighbors, and they just moved and left it, and just left it. So the cat has been ours for about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years now.
Wow,
they were horrible.
Come on,
whoa! Look at this.
That's a big tree.
I had to put the ornaments on from the balcony up there. I had to just throw ornaments at the tree at the top. There was no way. I'm scared of heights. I wasn't climbing a ladder to put shit up. So,
Kenny, how's the ankle now? Like, are you still in pain walking?
I'm in pain right now. I'm putting out for the show.
I mean, sit down. Don't get
I'm
hurt.
in pain just from the lack of lighting that you've got going, Kenny. My eyes are strained.
This is a key artifact right here.
Look at this. Seattle Pilots?
That's right.
Is that an original?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The
museum
stuff between you got.
Right. Hold on. This is important.
Okay.
You see that thing there?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's an artist depiction guy named Keegan Hall up in Seattle. I don't know if you know him, Neil. He does artwork with like a mechanical pencil. That's a pencil drawing.
Wow.
Whoa.
We're trying to find the biggest fan of that guy to pay for that. We'll give it to him. The money will go to Run Freely. We'll get another veteran out there running pain free.
Oh, we got to figure out something.
For now, it's sitting right there. It's not moving.
Yeah, we got to do something with Run Freely because our loyal viewers and people that watch the show somehow just came out of my mouth and called the BVB Brigade. So we have a big, we have a lot of military guys.
Yeah.
That are current and past and stuff that listen to the show, watch the show and stuff all over. So we got to figure out something to do.
Can I give a movie recommendation? I'd like to.
Sure.
Please.
It's on HBO Max. It's called Yacht Rock.
Oh, I heard about this.
Good.
My sister told me about this yesterday.
I might watch it again. It's that good. So
I'll write that down.
I didn't know this to be true because people have thought that's sort of a put down. Oh, Yacht Rock, it's kind of cheesy or whatever, right? But it's not. It's Doobie Brothers. It's Steely Dan. It's all Michael McDonald, on and on and on. And so there was a group of comedians who did a show, and they called that kind of era, that genre of music, yacht rock. And they did this silly little Wayne's Worldy feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the term just hung on. So they ended up doing a documentary talking to all the central figures of the music in that era. It's really amazing, and the music's great too.
I understand Donald Fagen was a big fan of the term, Kenny.
He is he the guy who hung up on them on the interview? Yeah, that was a very funny moment. But you know the group Toto, who I always thought, shame on me, I kind of mocked. Toto had a dumb name for openers. Toto was called on by Quincy Jones to be involved in the Michael Jackson album.
Oh.
They were like backup players, all sorts of people that they played for. Like they were high-level musicians. But I think sometimes you'll hear one song and think they're Air Supply or something, you know. No offense to the Air Supply fans out there. But
Steve Lukather of Toto is one of the great guitarists, session and leads for Toto.
There you go. That's
I can talk all day about Toto.
Keep talking.
You could? You got that
yeah.
in your back pocket? I mean, you're a music guy. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hold the line. I mean, come on. Yeah. I mean, 99, out of Africa. What do you want to know? Three brothers from LA started the band. Two of them are no longer with us. One left the band not that long ago. Lukather's been in the band forever. They've had two lead singers, basically. One is John Anderson, the big composer for all the movies. It's his son. He's the lead singer. He's the lead singer right now.
Do you have Wikipedia pulled up right
John
next
Williams?
to you right now, Neil? Do you have Wikipedia pulled up next to you right now?
You said John Anderson. John Williams?
John Williams. Yeah.
That's how we help each other out.
There we go.
You guys work
with up a hockey name, and I was right there for him.
You know one thing Kenny would do that was always so great. If he made a mistake, and because we were always to show a record, he would go. Then he would say like pause for edit later, boom, and then pick back up. It was so brilliant.
Well,
so brilliant.
Really funny. We were talking about the technology changing. In the old days, and Neil and I working together back in Connecticut, they had it on what's called 2-inch tapes in the back room, these big reels, right? Like you see. And then they moved to digital. So in the old days, if somebody screwed up something, whether, 19 rebounds, you got to change it to 20 because there was a scoring error, whatever, you had to be right? So you had to stay late. The show's over, right? The show's now repeating because the first part of the show's clean, right? The A's are good. God forbid the A's aren't good, because then you got to let the first part of the A's, which were good, be good. Then you got to jump in on, 4 minutes into the show and clean up the horrible highlight that you screwed up, or whatever the case, right? So we had to do these exacting fixes where you had to jump in for 2.5 seconds, just in the right spot. And if you didn't do it, you do it over and over and over. With the digital age, Tommy would just say Krivo Krasov, and then he'd take Krivo Krasov and stick it in his pocket. Hobby Bulin. Nikolai Hobby Bulin. It's not Khabibulin. It's not Khabibulin.
You've got to promote for people to look up the old Main Street. That Fixes was the issue, was the name of the episode, I believe, with Kenny and Scott Van Pelt, and it's one of the funniest things you'll see on television. So, right, is it called Fixes? Isn't it, Ken?
It's probably my favorite one we did. So this is like the little comedy show we did at ESPN. It was just to be taking my life there and making it more absurd. Allison Becker was great in that. Aubrey Plaza, you've heard of her. John
the guy Schwartz, Ben Schwartz,
Chris Smith, Lenny Jacobson, John Mulaney was in one episode. I didn't know who the hell he was. His just got him John. Who the fuck are you doing here? Get out of here, kid. Had no idea. Hopefully I didn't mistreat him too bad that day. But Fixes was the whole episode was about me screwing up Rafa Nadal's name. And I just can't get it right. I keep calling him Rafi. And Allison's like, no, that's the children's
funniest
program.
Thing as you'll ever see.
Rafi.
Van Pelt was hysterical. He's like going through a divorce because he's never home, because he's not home because I can't say Rafa Nadal. His counselor's name was
For the love of God, Kenny.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites for sure.
That was funny.
Neil, have you seen The Dead at the Sphere yet?
No, you know what? I missed it, but they're coming back. They just announced they're coming back. So I really wanted to go in honor of Bill Walton, but it just never materialized. So we'll go again. Hopefully we'll make it this time.
What's the last concert you saw, Neil? Like recently?
What's the last concert?
Yeah.
They did a tribute to Robbie Robertson at the Forum. Martin Scorsese was shooting it for film. It started at 7, ended at midnight. Had Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, Mavis Staples. Oh God! It had. It was. I can't even think of all the people it had. It was an all-nighter. It was really something to be at. Robbie Robertson was the leader of the band. That was Bob Dylan's electric band in Newport, and then became the band in The Last Waltz, and which was the first rockumentary, which was filmed by Scorsese. So it was really cool.
You're a wealth of knowledge.
Do you need to know anything more about Toto?
No, but I thought you're gonna last my last concert. I don't mean to top that, but
Please do.
Because you won't.
Stevie Wonder. Thank you. I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah, in
That's
Atlanta.
a good one.
With my nephew Troy, who's blind. You've met Troy.
Oh yeah.
He wanted to go so badly to Atlanta to see my daughter, his cousin, and go to the Seahawks game. They were playing Atlanta. And then just coincidental that weekend, Stevie Wonder announced that 10-city tour he did. So we go Stevie Wonder. Next day, we go to the Seahawks beating Atlanta. The Seahawks are on a nice little roll right now. Also, I'm scared to go in the Sphere. I have claustrophobia. I don't know if I can handle. It's like those Japanese shows, where there's too much light coming at you. Like, I don't know if I can handle it.
It's pretty big,
There's
though.
medication. There's medication for that, Ken.
I have to consider, but I got a good Troy story for you.
Okay.
So they were at a restaurant, and this is no knock on anybody of faith or anything like that. It's just a funny story. And this man came up and said, "Can I say a prayer for your son? Troy's blind from birth." And they're like, "Oh, that's very sweet." He says a prayer, calls on God to heal this child and bring back his sight. And they go on, they thank him. And later, like during dessert, the guy comes over and he looks at Troy and he says, "Anything?" And Troy looks up and goes, "Still blind."
Oh, no. And what did the guy react?
Must have got a sense of humor from his Uncle Kenny.
So Troy, also about 10 years ago, we did this for Funny or Die. I think you can look it up unless they've scrubbed it from the internet, but we did blind football announcer.
Oh, no.
And we went to a real Seahawks game. Like they gave us
This is hilarious. This is another thing people to go find on the internet because it is drop dead funny.
Troy's like, "Richard Sherman with the interception." It's like, "No, Troy, we're on fucking offense. All right? We have the ball. We're not on defense." So ultimately, it was a 5-minute blind joke, but it's his joke. He's the one who's blind. Right. He's the one who thought of it. So we're off the hook.
Oh.
Oregon broken leg.
What was that called? I got to get that one.
Blind football announcer.
Blind football announcing. Oh my goodness gracious! Listen, guys, this is.
You guys not have any commercials? Is this like CBS?
We just go straight. Hour 4 minutes straight.
Ford Motor Company.
Yes, we just roll on the show. This has been unbelievably fun, funny. The brigade has been.
We didn't even get into the Juan Soto signing. Dang.
Oh my God, $3 billion or something.
The best.
I thought he was going to go to Seattle.
No, he never sent it.
The best line yet is that the contract for Juan Soto is more money than the Pirates have spent on their entire payroll for the last 10 years. Last 10 years.
It's not that funny, Kenny.
That's really
laugh
funny.
About that.
I don't understand. Baseball has no rules. Baseball is like NIL. And any team can do whatever they want. It will pay you in 100 years. Your errors will get. So they can just make up whatever the fuck they want.
Right. It's
other leagues have to go by these strict, clauses and pay a luxury tax and all that type of stuff. So it is just the way it is. Some guy.
What is your favorite sport, Kenny?
Tackle football for sure.
Neil, what is your favorite sport? Do you even like sports anymore? I mean, do you watch sports
NFL.
at all?
College basketball, college football.
Oh.
You know why I like pro football better than college football?
Why?
Because the players are better.
Fair.
You've been waiting a whole hour to drop that, haven't you?
I'm holding casino dice. I always on the set. Remember, I always had like a pacifier, either a pen or dice. So like during break, it's supposed to be making changes to the show. We're like shooting dice, seeing how many hard ways we could hit.
Is that your casino game of choice, Kenny?
Dice. Craps. It's so dumb, but when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's not good. You know what I mean?
It's okay. I mean, it's like sex, right? It's good. It is, but when it's real good, it's real good. Right?
It's better than everything else generally, yes. And then sometimes it's the great. But the thing is, some of the tables, it's like when they have a bad attitude.
Oh,
I don't stand for it. I started smarting off. I was like, guys, you should be rooting for us because then we'll tip you. And, why are you having an attitude? Or like you've been playing the 11-12 and you don't play it once and it comes in. Oh, you should have bet oh, really? You can bet afterward? You saw what happened.
Yeah.
So we were somewhere, and I kind of scrubbed my hand, and one die made it to the end. The other one only went like a foot or two.
Good.
And they got on me about my ability to. I said,
"You got to hit the back wall, Kenny. You're a former
but
quarterback, for God's sake. You got to hit the back wall."
I know, but sometimes you just went like this. You know what I'm saying? So I told him I could throw it harder if he'd like me to. So I threw it really hard, and the dice came back and it hit him in the face.
Oh,
I didn't mean to do that. But he asked for it.
Sure, that went over well.
Neil, what's your favorite game of choice in a casino?
Pai Gow.
Well, I like to play blackjack, but I just learned how to play roulette over Thanksgiving. That was fun.
But where you guess a number and a thing spins with a ball in it?
Yeah, there's only like 36 or whatever you can bet on numbers, and I never knew how to put it in the middle to get all four numbers and all that. So I was watching somebody play and had a little fun doing that.
I do children's birthday.
I just want to remind everybody that go to the GoFundMe page so that Kenny can pay his light bill. Okay.
We need to do. This is another idea to put in your back pocket, Kenny.
Yeah.
We'll do a casino. You playing a game, Neil playing a game. Like, people will watch this. Like, you come to Vegas, maybe we'll do it here, or we'll go to some Indian casino up in Seattle. We'll meet up there or in Portland.
Well, a bunch of friends went to Vegas, and I saw casino on the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already in my head.
Oh.
We decided to go downtown to change our luck. Went to a certain place. Had just this amazing roll. This was one of those good nights, good sex night at the table.
Yep.
Your illusion there. And my friend throws, and one of the die stacks up against some chips. So it's this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not this way. It's like on an edge. And they quickly pulled it and said 7 out. And we're like, how did you call that a 7? It never fell. And they didn't explain. My guy lost his mind.
You got to call the super over. You got to call timeout. Call 20 second timeout.
I pointed to the bar. They didn't listen. I get the dice and just threw them overhand off the table. And then we left. But we were worried, like casino, either we're going to get arrested, something bad's going to happen to somebody. Let's just take our winnings, get the hell out of here, which is what.
Can you shuffle your checks with your other hand?
Yeah. But I want to know what the rule is on that, because
Dave,
I was told you're supposed to act like if it fell, where would it have fallen? But you can't say that because it could be spinning. Like, how are you going to say this was going to do that?
So the super's supposed to come over and actually, I mean, you're supposed to just re-roll the dice.
Agreed.
Is ultimately what you're supposed to do. Just grab it, re-roll the dice. But sometimes they will say, well, it's leaning this way. It would fall on the 6. So we got a 6 and a 4. It's a 10.
How do you know it would fall that way? Because you stopped it to like claymation, and it was fast moving. It was fast action.
You got
to protest. We can keep going. There's no commercials here. Ford Motor Company and StreamYard.
Neil, what are you having for lunch today? Are you doing anything for lunch?
We had pho.
No, I'm not. I'm drinking my lunch right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Gretchen's spending the rest of our money at the mall right now. I'm just here with 4 pets. That's all I got, guys.
All right.
Whiffle ball.
Kenny Mayne,
now
Whiffle
on 100 different media.
Yes,
right?
You guys can go watch it right now. Stream it for free on Amazon Freebie, LG channel, Samsung TV Plus, Sling free stream in the Roku channel, and Fubo Sports. Tubi as well.
Tubi's as well.
Tubi as well. Tableau TV as well.
I like it when you're watching the NCAA tournament and you have to watch on channels you've never heard of. You know, like
the worst.
Home and Science Channel with North Carolina State Furman. Okay, it's a 116.
Guys, thank you for doing this. This was awesome. This is super fun. Neil, thank you for coming on. This was really a treat to have you both on together. Thank you for being good sports and doing this with us.
See you at the Rose Bowl, Everett.
Thank you for my
Ski
life.
ball, fall of 2026.
It's Kenny Mayne and Neil Everett joining us here on the Bostonian versus the Book. What a damn show this was. That was absolutely unbelievable. What a
side hurts.
Amazing opportunity that those guys just gave us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, because that's That's just a treat for
I don't know. I mean, how do we top that?
I don't know. That was so much
next
fun.
Week?
The guy, the PR guy who got us Kenny Mayne just texted me and said, "How did it all go?" I said, "It's still going." He said, "What?" He said, "It's still going." He just, I mean, we just did an hour straight. If you guys are watching on the replay, I mean, I appreciate you guys with the commercial breakups, because for those of you guys that are watching live, you just got an hour straight of Kenny Mayne and Neil Everett talking about everything.
Just go back and watch it on the YouTube channel. It's the @ Boston versus the Book. Leave a comment.
Just everything about that was so.
Just I don't know that we'll do that again. Kenny's phenomenal. Neil, I genuinely love Neil, and he gives Kenny the business. It's just that's an all timer. Put that one in the annals right there.
I mean, just really, really cool. And just thank you to Neil and to Kenny for coming in. I mean, look, we've talked about it before, but like there are certain things, and I think we've talked about this a lot aside from the gaming industry and in the betting, like the bets are the bets, and that's fine. Just like those guys, stats are stats, scores are scores. Like, how do you do this? Like, how do you present it to make it fun for the audience, to make them have a buy-in? And those guys got me to buy in. I mean, I watching both Stan and Neil Everett together on the LA Sports Center was awesome. I mean, they were incredible. They were so funny. I mean, in the chat, people were like, when you hear the name Neil Everett, you think bartender Jack.
Yep.
It's in your head. It's just like, it's part of, you hear the name, that's the first thing you think of. And, for Scott Van Pelt to take it over and have that late night spot now and do him and Stanford Steve and embrace the gambling side of things. And someone else in the gambling world, we watch SVP because he makes it funny. They have fun when they do it.
I think we're doing it with the sports gambling stuff. I mean, I kind of take it personal to do it that way, because anybody can, just boringly read their bets or, talk about trends and stats and all that other stuff. I mean, it has to be entertaining to at least make it compelling. So I love it. I mean, I got to sit with Neil. I met Neil at a sports book through a guy, and we ended up at a wedding, and it turned into an 8-hour night of me hanging out with Neil Everett. And it started a friendship that, our wives know each other. We went to their wedding. I flew up to Portland. I'd never been to Portland before. He's like, you guys got to come up for the wedding. Jess and I went up, hung out, and it's just been a whirlwind since, and I mean, we've had some very, very long talks and about this business and about how, where it's going and stuff. And that was just an absolute pleasure to I mean, it was the reach out. Your past guy reached out to you about having Kenny on. I reached out to Neil and said, we're having Kenny on. He said, what time? I'm there. And that happened. And there's nothing else. Like, it was a pick 'em whether Neil was going to get it to work.
Because the technology question was a legitimate one.
Right. And Kenny had to switch and cut and paste that over and got help. I mean, we got his dogs on. We got his cat on. We got his tree on. We got Neil's dog on. I'm just waiting for Snowball to jump into the
That's a really good point. Our next highlight show, if we were to do like a best of, we just play that.
What is the show? This.
Yeah. Just tell Sports Grid's like, hey, we're gonna do a best of show. Yeah, just play that interview. Just play that. Because that's evergreen. That's funny in a week. That's funny in a year. That's funny in 5 years. That'll always be funny. That'll always be good. And there's such a, like, I learned that Fitzy's been on this show a lot.
Yeah.
And I learned that talking with Fitzy back in the day about somebody who was able to take the comedic side of sports, and you have to laugh at it. Because as Neil said, like, what are we doing here really? Like, we're in the toy department. We're talking about just like,
we're doing a Red Sox highlight.
Right. It's like, what are we doing? But he's right, though. It's just, there's all these different things that we're not curing cancer. So have fun with it. And point out some of the idiocies and ridiculousness of all of this, and be able to, I mean, the thing that Kenny's funny to do anything. He could do a cooking show and it would be funny. Yep. He could do a soap opera and he'd be funny. Like, someone like that is just so gifted, naturally funny, and has such an amazing ability to make fun of themselves. Like the stuff. Just go back. I mean, a lot of you kids probably don't know a lot about Kenny Mayne. Go and he's right. Go on YouTube and just go look at Kenny Mayne's Super Bowl. Or go look at Kenny Mayne, the main event, those stuff that they did.
Yep.
It's legendary. It's unbelievable.
It's funny
how good he is.
That, and it will make you laugh. And it'll make you feel good. There were so many things he did. And you're just like, but like he said, I was working the day Kobe's helicopter went down. I remember Kenny being dead serious. Like, and I mean, I was texting my wife. I was like, oh my gosh, you got to turn on the news and this and that.
Yeah.
Serious as could be. He had a news background. Like he wanted to be a journalist and somehow found his way to sports and, is still doing it. I would love nothing more to do something with them. Like that would be just one of those things. I sat in Neil's cubicle out in LA and watched him do Sports Center multiple times, like walk to the studio, watched him get the makeup on and walk to the studio and do it, sat in his chair. He's like, here, you and Jess take pictures, pretend like you're reading the monitor. We'll shoot it and we'll do all this stuff. I was like, this is amazing. And Jess was like, why are you so giddy? I'm like, you don't understand. Like this we grew up watching this whole thing. Like,
I was 19 when we did that. We got a chance. I was the sports director. That was not before I was sports. I was sports director the next year, my senior year. But we all took a party bus down from Amherst, Mass, which is only about an hour down to Bristol, and probably 18 of us. And I have a picture somewhere in my house of like all like you and Jess, but there's like 18 of us that are all behind the desk, all crowded around. And I remember walking around the campus, and this is before they put on, this is back in 2000 this is back in 1998, I believe, before they've added all the extra stuff they have now there for the full-blown ESPN audio campus and everything else that they built in Bristol. But it's in the middle of nowhere. Like you come over a hill, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's big. And no, Sonic, that started my, like, how the fuck do you live in Connecticut? Like when I was at Bristol, I was like, how do you live here? This is the middle of nowhere. You guys are the biggest stars on the planet for sports media. Like you're ESPN anchors. Like you've hit the pinnacle. This is a dream. And you have to live in West Hartford, Connecticut and drive to Bristol every day because nobody lives in Bristol. There's no one you can't live in Bristol.
Right.
So you have to live in West Hartford, Hartford is the single worst city in America. West Hartford's like a little bit of a step up from Hartford. Not big, but a little bit of a step up from Hartford. And they all live there. And they all had to live there. They had nowhere else.
ESPN calls and says you got to move to Connecticut to do the
show.
No,
I'm going to New York. No, I'm going to the New York campus. I'm going to New York City. You want to hire me? Fine. I'm going to New York City.
We'll go out to the LA one.
Fine.
We'll do that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We go out to LA and do the show. If ESPN wants us to, we'll do that.
100%.
Up in Vegas, we'll shoot.
We have a bar called Bleachers in Bristol. Us PAs did. Will. Yep. And then there's that. Well, I don't know if it's still there or not, but the stories that were told about the motel across the street from Bristol, where they would put you up if you had to go there for a one night or a 1 day event, they'd put you up across the street. Those stories are not good.
A lot of stuff went on in there.
A lot of stuff went on in that motel across the street. They have a hotel now. It's a hotel now. Sorry, not a motel. It's now a hotel. All right. You missed the Whalers. Whalers were great. I'll give you that. The Whalers were great.
Were awesome. See, and Will knows what we're talking about. Will, thank you.
He lives in Bristol, doesn't he?
He's close
to Bristol.
He knows he knows the area. Will's our boots on the ground there
in Connecticut.
When we go, Wethersfield, Connecticut is where he's at.
Let's put things back on track and back on a betting perspective. There are 4 games that have been released.
Yep.
Every number is over 7. What's your take on this?
It's perfect.
Really? Perfect.
Yeah. I mean,
perfect.
This is what you expected. No, I mean, you might have been maybe for a matchup, you get a 3, but 6.5, 7.5, just make the number that the home fields changed all of this.
Exactly.
Like it literally changes because
Alabama's not an 8.5-point dog at your place.
No.
No,
that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think SMU can go there and win. I think the dogs are live. You don't think the dogs are live in any of these games? We get 4 chalk wins.
Only one is Clemson, and they're the biggest dog.
Oh, wow.
It's the only one.
Tennessee can't go beat Ohio State?
It's a plus 210 parlay if you want it. Favorites, money line parlays, plus 210 or plus 225.
Wow.
Depending on chalk. Dogs are not barking. This is home field playoff game. You saw it with Boise and UNLV. Replay 4-4-4-4-4.
Give the boys and girls a vote in the chat. Give them something to vote on right now. Do all 4 favorites win? Yes or no?
Yes.
Just win the game. Forget about covering.
Yes. All 4 favorites win.
I don't think so.
Who loses?
Tennessee could beat Ohio State. No. SMU could beat Penn State. No.
Not
you think Clemson has a shot against Texas?
I do. That's the one. I have one thought that Clemson can beat Texas. That's it.
And what's the 4th game?
Indiana and Notre Dame.
Indiana can't beat Notre Dame?
Mm-mm. Not at Notre Dame. Mm-mm.
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I don't know.
See,
put it up.
I agree, Nikki. Mm-mm. Nope. I mean, literally, you're going to have Leonard like throw 3 picks, fumble the ball 2 times. Like anybody can beat anybody on any given day. But if they don't turn the ball over and they just play their game of football, Indiana's mismatched man to man.
That's why, like football in December, after 3 weeks off,
it's going to be Notre Dame. It's at Notre Dame. I mean, this is going to be the ticket prices are insane already for that game. The entire state. I mean, that's
the way it was setting up. I thought they were going to put that game in Indiana and Notre Dame, and then SMU in Texas,
which would make sense, right? I mean, they're going to do that. Like, it's stupid. Okay, if you want to talk about like how it all broke down, Arizona State not going to the Fiesta Bowl is moronic. Like, it's moronic. Like, why would they all of the mistakes they've made with the college basketball bracket, they just forgot about it for the football bracket, which I can't figure out why, because the college basketball bracket made it a priority from a pod system that you stayed close to home. So if you were a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 seed, you got a chance to play closer to home. So like, I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually really a good thing for Arizona State. Have them play the Fiesta Bowl. No, we'll send Boise there. Well, why? Arizona State should get that.
Yeah, but it's closer. No, then it's a home game.
It should be a home game anyway. You won your bracket. You're a 4 seed with you won your.
Well, where does
your
Boise
conference.
go?
Who the hell cares? It shouldn't be a 3 seed.
Well, I know, but they're going to the closest place.
Send them.
They're a higher seed, so they get to go closer. I feel like they kind of gave it to Arizona State a little bit, sending them to go get. Yeah. I mean, they got to play Georgia in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, have fun, enjoy that. Yeah, I think the committee wanted to get rid of Indiana and Notre Dame because they hate both. They hate both of them, so they put them against each other. They want them both out because they both
don't. State is going to close for that game.
It's awesome. It's great, and you get rid of one of them, so one of them's for sure to be gone.
It's going to be massive. Did you do the poll? I didn't vote yet. I didn't see it. Do the poll. Do all 4 favorites win? Yes or no? See if I can put that in there.
I'm saying yes. All 4 favorites are going to win, but
I'm voting no as soon as it pops up.
So you got to pick somebody
watching the show live. Loses. Can't even remember the 4th game. Oh, Indiana.
Indiana, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Texas, Ohio State, Penn State.
Well, I don't know which one right today, but I mean, by the time we get to doing the show and the games, I'll have a much better feel for it. But I don't think it's all 4 favorites.
Those are your 4 games right there.
Yeah. I think literally any one of the dogs could win the game. All 4 right now. Would not surprise me to see one of the favorites lose.
Yeah, I think it's chalk.
Type it in the chat, boys, who you think the favorite's going to lose.
I think Clemson, to me.
Like Ross Randall says Ohio State loses.
Stop it.
No. I mean, Notre Dame always loses the big game. Who said that? Austin.
Not at home, they don't.
Austin?
They lose to teams not supposed to. That's what their problem is. The Irish win big games. They lose the teams like Northern Illinois. That's the games they lose. Penn State between a 6 and a 24-point line for James Franklin. He is an automatic cash cow, guarantee cover. Like just 100%, 100,000 at Penn State. SMU is not walking into Penn State and winning that football game. It's not happening.
Konwinski said Tennessee could beat Ohio State.
They're not going there.
Blue Spader said Ohio State could lose. Wow, Josie Myers already got the hate. I hope Ohio State and Notre Dame both lose. Their fan bases are easily in the top 10 for most entitled fan bases in sports. Wow.
Yeah. Look,
fighting words right there.
Ryan Day is coaching for his job. Okay. This is going to be one of the hardest 3 weeks of practice Ohio State's ever had. I think they ripped the throat out of Tennessee, and I hope the SEC does well, but I think Tennessee's walking into an absolute beehive. And I think Indiana gets exposed by Notre Dame.
Offensively or defensive?
Both.
Oh.
They don't have the men. Ohio State killed them in the trenches. Same thing's going to happen against Notre Dame. I'll never forget what Urban Meyer said. Urban Meyer said before that game, and he's sitting there, he's like, I'm looking at Indiana guys, and I'm looking at Ohio State guys, and there's a massive mismatch in size between these two. And eventually, in the second half, Ohio State's just going to be the bigger of the two teams, and it's going to wear out Indiana. And that's exactly what happened.
I will never forget that. I did the same thing when I went to the Rose Bowl. I took Jess. We flew to the Rose Bowl to see Penn State play USC. I said, we got to get in there the second they open the gate. She's like, why? Because I got to see these kids up close because I hadn't seen USC play. We were living here. And they were killing everybody. And I so wanted Penn State to just cover the spread. But I told her, I'm not betting it until I go. I got to see these kids in person. We got there, and we were right down by the field for the warm-ups. And I turned to her, and I said, we're going to get killed. She goes, what do you mean? I said, first of all, they're all bigger. Second of all, do you see how fast they are in warm-ups? We're going to get killed. And she goes, well, what's the line? I said, well, it don't matter. We're laying it. She said, well, I thought you said you were looking to bet Penn State. I said, not anymore. I called a guy, did a thing, and said, because we were still, it wasn't like we were in California. You could just do it.
Right.
And I said, we'll be fine. Relax. By halftime, we're getting smoked. We went outside for the tailgate to see all the fraternity brothers and introduce her around all these people that I've talked about for years that she didn't know. Third quarter, Penn State turned the ball over on the first drive. It was done. We didn't even stay. We got a bus and got to the airport. Well, no, because I didn't want to sweat getting back to the airport. We flew in the morning and flew home that night.
Okay.
And I said, we don't need to see the fourth quarter. We're losing by 100. Let's go. The trip's paid for. Don't worry about it.
We're good.
And we're good. And we went back. But if you can see it, so you think Indiana Notre Dame is that big of a mismatch?
Yep. I think it's a big size mismatch. I think it's just a big athlete-to-athlete mismatch. Indiana's biggest games were at home, and they won them. But they missed the three biggest teams: Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. If they played any of those three, Indiana's not in this bracket. They don't belong.
Indiana beat Michigan.
Sorry, at home, right? They did fine, but they did not play Penn State or Ohio State. So, and Michigan wasn't good this year. So, they had down year.
I can't wait. I am excited as could be to watch it all play out. Like, I think we're going to have something. Going to find out. Oh, wow, you flashed it on there. Now, how was that? Was good. Nice. Will, you got work to do today, son. Put you to work today, Will.
But Joel is an Iowa guy.
Yeah.
Telling you, and I agree. And I agree with you.
Well, no one will know. Don't worry about it.
So leave it. No one cares. Will leave it alone. It's fine. And that's not a bad word anyway, because literally, if Nick Saban can say it on Saturday morning on game day, Sports Grid can have it be on the air.
I think he's doing it on purpose.
That was awesome. The fact that he dropped that, I was like, "Woo, Nicky's getting loose."
He's done it now multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah, because that's not bad. According to ESPN, that's not a bad word. It's not really.
Well, he can say it, so that's good. Yeah.
Because the A word and the S word are the ones. It's the F word that they want. I would never put the F word on the screen, but the S word I put on the screen.
Right? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
no one will know.
Sorry.
Hey, come on, man.
Sorry. Is what it is. Before we let go of Sports Grid, we got to at least touch on it because this was the main point of the whole darn show. Juan Soto agreed to a 15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets. Yeah. This is the biggest contract ever in sports. I still can't get over this might be the funniest thing that I've seen in a long time. At $765 million, Juan Soto's deal is reportedly more than the Pirates' payroll since 2015. Like, are you kidding me?
It's crap. It's
The
all
average
crap.
MLS franchise. It's more than an MLS team. It's more than LeBron's all-time earnings. It's more than Patrick Mahomes' deal since 2031. It's more than Brady's all-time earnings. It's more than the salary cap of the 2024 NFL. And Tiger Woods dwarfs what Tiger Woods has made in his history. $765 million. I understood, Dave, the $700 million for Ohtani because he's going to pitch.
Right.
I don't get this.
Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring
Yeah.
your kiddies, bring your wife.
Say, bring your wife? Okay. I'll ask you this.
Bring your wife. You'll have the time of your life. Beat the Mets. Beat the Mets.
The Mets are now 9-1 to win it all. They're still ahead of the Yankees, or behind the Yankees, rather. The Yankees are still ahead of them to win it all. But Yankees are plus 850. Will they win a World Series during the 15-year or 5-year contract with Juan Soto?
Wait. Say that again. What's the question?
It's a 15-year contract, 5-year out.
Right.
In those 5 or 15 years, will the Mets win the World Series?
No. You know how hard it is? I mean, I'd bet the no. The National League is a gauntlet. They got to beat the Dodgers, which they didn't do. They
better win more than one, Dave.
They may not win their division.
They better win more than to give a guy $50 million a year for 15 years.
Well, I mean, they gave all this money to Phillies. They gave all this money to Harper. They didn't win it yet.
It's nothing.
It's a miracle.
It's nothing. Harper's contract is nothing compared to this.
He makes $40 million a year.
It's still nothing. It's not a 15-year contract.
And I can't believe 15.
15 years.
I can't believe 15.
Like, he's 26. Like, you're paying him until he's 41 years old. Like, this is insane.
I can't believe it. I honestly, I can't believe it.
I'm glad the Red Sox didn't do this.
Oh, you have to be. I mean,
if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm glad the Yankees didn't do this. I mean, he's one bat. He's one player. He gets hurt. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is nuts to me. Like, this is what a superstar player is going to wind up going. The Red Sox offered $700 million. They were $65 million short. That's crazy.
I can't relate anywhere close to the numbers now and all this other
Nobody
stuff.
can. Even Yankee fans can't. Because it's Steve Cohen. Cohen is there was an article that out on Yahoo Sports today, which is really funny. Steve Cohen once bought 2 different statues that he liked for $255 million.
Yeah.
Like, this contract is a drop in the bucket for this guy.
Yeah.
He's worth $14 billion. He's worth more than any of the other owners by a ways.
Worth more than all the others combined.
So he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
So-
this is ultimate FU money.
He's
Mr.
making
Anderson said he's-
$5,821 an hour for the next 15 years, even when he's sleeping.
Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Wow. I don't know. He's not pitching.
Right. And
Like, he got the
Ohtani
money, like he's pitching.
Right. And Ohtani, that's why I was okay with Ohtani. Like, I was okay. That contract, I was like, okay, I would give Ohtani $700 million. He's going to pitch.
I don't care. Like, I can't, it's their money to spend. So, but as far as baseball goes, the ability to have someone in the mix that can do this to completely blow out the water anyone else's possible like ability to do this, they're playing a different game.
Right.
And I mean, I kind of like it because like Yankee fans are having a dose of reality. This has been their wake up call. Like, wait a second. We loved him. He hit in front of Judge and they were doing the big fist bumps and all this other stuff. They loved each other. We loved him and he left us for the Mets. Like, oh, it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, he's going to look good in the royal blue and the orange, and they may not win a division in the first 5 years. They got to beat the Braves and the Phillies. And then once they do that, oh yeah, by the way, they got to get through the Dodgers and or the Padres and or both.
Right.
The National League is, I mean, Someone asked me, what would you move it to? I said, I don't know. If we had 12-1, I'd make it 8-1. But I would wait and take a bet or two. Like, I wouldn't just move it because I don't think they're going to win it.
So much money. But they had the highest payroll of anybody in baseball last year and did nothing with it. It was cut in half by guys they'd let go and traded and whatnot.
Wait, who did nothing with it?
The Mets.
They got the Game 6 of the NLCS.
Did nothing with it.
It's Game 6 of the NLCS.
Did nothing with it. Did you win anything? What did they win? They won nothing. I don't do close, Dave. We do wins or losses. Did you win? Yes or no?
It's a big move from where they were.
Did they win the pennant?
No, they came up.
Did they win the World Series?
Eventual World Series winner.
Did they win the World Series?
Get us out of here. We'll continue this in bonus time. What a show.
Nada. Zip, zero, nothing. That's what they won. Highest payroll of all time. Won nothing for it. If you guys are watching live, stick around. Don't move. A lot more to come. If you're watching in the replay, thank you for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks to Kenny Mayne. Thanks to Neil Everett. What a show. Bonus time starts now.
You would be jacking up and down today if the Red Sox signed him.
I'd be going crazy. Absolutely. I would, but if it was $765 million, I would be very concerned. I may be in heaven.
What sucks is that the Pirates are the butt of everybody's joke today because of the money. Like, that's
just because
my squad.
10 years. The Pirates haven't spent that much money in 10 years as a team.
Combined.
Take every salary there. I would be ecstatic if the Red Sox got him. Absolutely. On top of the fact that I'm just glad he didn't go back to the Yankees. Like, I love the fact that the Yankees have a massive hole in their lineup now. You can't replace that. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez is great, but he ain't Juan Soto.
He ain't going there, is he?
He might. Yeah, they're targeting him. They're targeting a bunch of them bats. That guys on the
now they're going to go get pitching,
which is what they should. That's fine. It's a better move anyway. To go get
Yankees,
pitching.
it's ultimately going to be better. And I saw some things that, like, Harper left Washington.
They got better.
And they got better. They end up winning the World Series. That's where Soto's first, World Series.
Yeah,
he was a young kid.
His only World Series.
Only World Series. But then, he left San Diego. They got better. Like, the Yankee fans are going, he's going to get better.
It's a good point. Sox that money be as bad as when A-Rod went to Rangers.
No question.
It's a very similar feeling that when, like, you thought you had them and you're like, okay. I was listening to Rob Bradford, who works for WEI, and he's their inside baseball guy. And I did a show with Rob for a couple of years on EEI on the weekends. And he had a really interesting point about, look, it shows at least that Craig Breslow, the GM of the Red Sox, has the ability to get into a negotiation and potentially spend that much money, or at least make an offer. They offered $700 million. That was their top. You don't offer $700 million unless you're willing to go and spend on a Max Fried or something like that, because Max Fried's now the big name. That's the pitcher that's available that everybody's after. Yankees are too. Red Sox, Yankees, anybody that missed out on Soto.
Oh, because he's lefty. Corbin Burns got to be up there. No,
that too, right? Him too. So if you're going to spend $700 million, can you get those two guys for $300 each and get two players for that same money? So that's going to be the question going forward for the Yankees and the Red Sox, that they both were willing to go as high as $700 million. So they just showed their hand that they've got that type of money to spend. So now you have to go out there and spend. Now, who do you give it to? It's going to be the biggest question. But I can't wait to see how the rest of this weekend goes, this whole week with baseball winter meetings, and then what happens in the wake of this. Because now that the number one domino has fallen, everything else can now go.
There's not a pitcher alive that I would give more than a 5-year contract to.
Fair.
15 years?
Yeah, Ross, that guy's going to the Dodgers. The 23-year-old kid that wants the kid that's really going to be cheap, he wants to pitch for the Dodgers. He's going to the Dodgers. He posted today. He's going to the Dodgers. So, big problem there. They're getting better. Champs are getting better.
I guess this is the way it's going to be.
Oh, the Dodgers are going to get the hate soon. I mean, if not already, they're going to be the new big bad, the big evil empire. It's going to be the Dodgers. Their personalities just aren't as prickly,
right,
as the Yankees. the media and the fans and whatnot, it's a little less on the laissez-faire side of things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen right away. It's just too. They have too much fun, and they got some guys. I don't know, but who's going to be? Is it the Phillies next, or is it?
Well, I still have the Mets and
This
the Phillies
doesn't even
above.
make it the Mets to me.
The Mets are 9-1 to win it all for
Like
that reason.
they're the second choice.
In the National League,
Second choice,
they're the 5th choice in the overall.
not to win it all.
Yeah, at FanDuel,
Who's ahead of them?
they're the 5th choice. Dodgers are 1. Yankees are ahead of them.
Dodgers, Yankees, and then who?
Hold on, I looked at this
That's what I'm
morning.
saying. They moved it.
They're the 4th. Sorry, you're right. 4th. Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, Mets.
Okay. Oh,
They're the 4th.
you could still have the Braves there. That's good.
And the Astros are 10-1. Phillies are 12-1.
Right.
So they're not in, but they're way behind
Where's
the
the
Dodgers.
Padres?
Padres are 15-1 behind the Orioles.
And is it pretty clear that it's one of those 5 teams in the National League?
Yeah, it's Braves, Mets, Phillies, Padres. And then you got to go all the way to the Cubs at 33-1 to find another National League team.
NL Central's like a different game. Sucks to be in the NL Central to be that way, but it's true.
Yeah, the Cubs are 33, the Brewers are 40-1, the Reds are 70-1, the Cardinals are 90-1, and the Pirates are 100-1.
Son of a man. Got to get this Skeens kid some help. Damn it.
Yep. All right, to football. $3.1 million bet cashes as the Eagles survived against the Panthers. Our guy, Jeffrey Benson, who talked about with us on Friday, hysterical tweet from Jeffrey. Leggett's not welcome to any Circa properties for what it's worth. 86'd them. Dropped a go-ahead touchdown.
Oh,
that could have put them up with second. Could have tied the game at 22, extra point pending for the win for the Carolina Panthers.
I thought he caught it.
So did
when I saw it initially,
he thought he caught it too.
I thought he caught it. I was watching it and made this noise.
Why is everyone so caught up on this, on the net of 400,000? It's so funny. Whenever I've said this today, like $3.1 million bet, it's the first thing people say, well, it's only 400K. The bettor only won 400K. He bet $3.1 million. Whatever he cleared doesn't really matter. It wasn't 1-1. I get you that. It wasn't like minus 110. It was minus 700.
He laid 7-1.
But he still bet $3.1 million and almost lost.
Right.
He almost lost.
I don't know. I was watching that game along with the Steeler game and stuff in the morning session. Carolina just kept hanging around and hanging around all the time
now. Like the Chiefs, the bad version.
Oh, I mean, Bryce Young learned something on the sideline. Learned something,
watching.
Yeah, and they're playing a lot better. And Thielen is a pro. Like they changed the whole offense.
Yeah.
The guy knows when to get open, how to get open, makes catches, bails out plays.
He was great with the Vikings.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
For him too. For a young quarterback, it's phenomenal too.
Yeah, it's pretty strong.
Bummer. That was a bummer.
I thought they were going to lose.
They covered, though. Rams beat the Bills 44-42. Josh Allen threw for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns and ran for 82 yards and 3 more touchdowns and lost.
This was a strange game.
On first down with 1 minute to go, they tried to run the ball in again with Josh Allen and had to take a timeout. And that changed everything. If they had thrown the ball and kept those timeouts, they may have gotten the ball back with a chance to kick a field goal to win the game.
I felt like we were playing Madden watching.
It's
all I need to do is just have the ball last here.
Right.
Kept watching it, waiting for somebody to stop somebody. Nobody stopped anybody.
Yeah, that was the largest, most profitable, most points in Yahoo fantasy football ever by Josh Allen yesterday.
Oh,
recorded the single biggest fantasy football day ever.
I heard Rex Ryan say it was half asleep, but Otto Graham did it in 1954.
Sure.
3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. Is the only other guy to do it.
Yeah.
1954 is 70 years ago.
Can't lose this game. The Bills can't give up 44 points to the Rams. Can't lose that game. You had an all-time performance by your quarterback. Cannot lose that game. That's a horrible game. The Chiefs got another gift thanks to an awful kickoff by the Chargers. Game-winning kick. They're 12-1. It hit the damn upright.
Doink!
Plus 56 win differential is the worst forever for a team with a 12-1 record. Our friend Ian has been keeping track of this. Mm-hmm. And this is, when you see this on paper, it's actually kind of hard to believe that this is the season for the KC Chiefs so far in 2020.
Likely.
Hold on, take it off.
Likely.
Oops, sorry.
Ian McMillan. Ways Chiefs have pulled out wins this year. Likely toenail was out of bounds.
Game 1.
Questionable penalty on the Bengals.
Yep, it was.
Game
Pass
3,
interference.
Yep. 4 it was. Non-call on the Chiefs versus the Falcons.
It was pass interference.
That was 100% pass interference.
Yep.
Bucks don't go for 2 to win the coin toss in OT, correct? Blocked field goal versus the Broncos. That's unbelievable, that one. Made the last second field goal versus the Panthers.
Mahomes on that draw. They're tied with a minute to play, and they drove down, kick a field goal on the road against the Panthers.
The Raiders botched the snap.
That game was over. They Raiders kick a field goal. They win that game.
I still can't believe that actually happened. And then Dicker has the worst kickoff in NFL history, leads to the doink and the field goal from the Chiefs.
It looked intentional. Dicker's kickoff looked intentional. Like, I don't know what he was doing. It made no sense.
I don't know. I don't know.
What was Jess's reaction to that game?
Annoying is what it was. Annoying. And yesterday was the day that everything was getting done here in the house to get ready for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to watch the game upstairs because I was like, I think I told her right before the game, I'm like, I don't know. This feels like the Chargers, the public dog. Your Chiefs may win and cover today. And then as the game's going on, I'm like, no, they're not covering. In fact, they're going to lose. And she's like, no, they're not. They always come. They're going to win. They're going to come back and win. You'll see. And now Kendall is on my side. She's had enough of her.
Yeah, good.
And I said, look, it's me and you on Christmas. I'm getting you a Steelers shirt, hat, something.
There we go.
Enough of this Chiefs bullshit. Done with that.
All I know is that a plus 56 win differential for 12 wins tells me that their luck is going to run out. Okay. It's going to run out.
I don't know. They're getting healthier. I mean,
no, they're not. They had a left tackle go out last night. Their offensive line's a shambles.
Their offensive line is a mess. They cannot block on the whole left side of the line.
But look they go 3-1 down the stretch. They're going to be the 1 seed. So someone's got to go in there and beat them at Arrowhead. Who that's going to be? The only way that happens, it has to be the 2008 Patriots against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Something spectacular has to happen early in the game, and they can never be in it. If they're in it, no way.
JC from KC just came in and said, Dave, you guys may beat us on Christmas Day because we may not even play our starters.
He's right. There's some truth to that.
Not going to have it clinched by then.
Well, they already have the division. They may have if the Bills lose again, they'll have the 1 seed clinched. There's going to be some really shitty football in December in the NFL.
The Steelers are only 2 games behind.
All these divisions, all these races.
Got to keep winning.
They can go 3-1 and they have the 1 seed. That's all they got to go is 3-1 down the stretch, and they have the 1 seed.
Yeah, if they don't go 3-1, that means they lose a game that's not to the Steelers, and they lose to the Steelers, and the Steelers get the 1 seed.
Steelers aren't getting the 1 seed.
I mean, they could tie them with the record. What are you talking about? They're 10-3. 12-1, 10-3. Chiefs lose.
You're 2 games behind. You need them to lose two games.
And then we beat them.
So
we finish the same record, and we on them head to head. Bam! Number 1 seed. Road goes through Pittsburgh.
I would actually like that. Actually, would
oh,
be
baby.
You aren't winning the Super. You aren't winning the Super Bowl, but it would be good to see you guys have the 1 seed.
Yeah, be great.
ABC is where I've been. Anybody but Chiefs.
Yeah.
Rest of the way, ABC.
We'll
Anybody but the Chiefs,
The Ravens
which
were
I feel pretty good about. I mean,
better.
I'm actually not even that nervous about it. I mean, it's because if I'm a Chief fan, you better win it this year, because if you guys all want to say about the Patriots and what the Patriots did and how they looked and blah, 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 when the Patriots started to have games go like this, they went a decade, 10 years between titles. It changes. When you start winning games like this, your luck flips. You don't always get the breaks. That's life. That's sports. They've gotten every break this season. And it may continue all the way into it may continue, but it won't be like that next year. Travis might retire. He may walk.
We'll see. I'm
Taylor's
worried about him
done.
retiring.
Taylor's done.
Retired about all that. Well, let's focus on this season.
Taylor just wrapped up the Eras Tour last night in Vancouver. She's done.
Done?
She's done. She's going to be out of the public eye. She's year to 2 years gone. She's just going to be doing her thing. She made $2 billion on that tour. Billion.
Be tough to do anything that you didn't want to do after you made $2 billion.
She wants to get married and have kids. She wants to have a family.
Whatever you want.
Do whatever you want and live wherever you want, on the moon if you want. You know? So
they have multiple places.
If you're Kelsey, why would you want to get your head bashed in?
Like, likes playing football, maybe.
Does he really? Because he had to play his way into shape. So he's playing better now, but he was fat and happy for the first 8 weeks of the season. He's finally in shape now. But he didn't he wasn't all too interested in working out and doing that stuff, working hard and getting after it. They got how much money from a podcast? His brother's doing what? Late night TV on ESPN? Do the Kelsey show. Sit there and talk about football.
Is that on actually?
It's coming. It's live. It's not on yet. It's only he's doing 5. It's a limited run. It's not permanent.
Oh, okay.
Just a 5-night live thing in Philadelphia.
Okay.
That they're doing.
Gotcha.
So be curious to see what's going to happen on that. What's your take on Kirk Cousins and the Falcons? 2 picks, another no touchdown game, 5 in a row with him not throwing a touchdown.
The Minnesota people thank him very much.
Right?
Like that was the return game, the revenge game. It wasn't there. I see Brennan in the chat. He said my Vikings 11-2 looking at a 5 seed. That is crazy. You got to be pretty happy, king of car seats, that he's not your quarterback anymore, because I don't even think he's going to be Atlanta's quarterback. Well, I don't know if they're going to bench him now. I mean, they can still win a division, their division.
Yep.
So I don't know if you can just bench him.
But they lost yesterday and the Bucks won. So
it swung.
Yep. That swung.
But they can tie the Bucks and they win the tiebreaker. So they're only a half game back, essentially.
14 straight years for the New York Jets to miss the playoffs. That is the longest drought of the 4 major sports leagues, losing in overtime to Miami.
Gonna miss this when this stops. It's pretty good.
It's really fun. Just too much fun.
It's just something. And again, I get to talk to Moose
I was
every
33.
day.
I was unmarried and no kids. The last time the Jets made the playoffs.
14 years ago. What was I doing? 14, 20 today. What's 24, 14, 2010. Wow. So we had both little girls, a lot going on. Moved my dad out to Vegas. I was taking care of him. And oh my God. I go on with Moose every Sunday. And so get to talk about the Jets and the Giants and try to make it positive. And I said, actually, Moose, if you got 6.5, you probably should be good. Like they should cover. But the Jets will find a way. It just keeps happening, and they can't get it to stop. Can you imagine having the Dolphins -5.5 yesterday? Or having the Jets +5.5? The number is important, boys and girls.
Jets sucks.
They're favored this week.
They are.
They're favored. Going to have to talk to Emerson this week. We're going to, make it every point to get in touch with Emerson and get him on the show because the Jets are favored in Jacksonville. He got a sexy new Jacksonville jacket. He's showing off all over.
They won yesterday.
And they won yesterday.
Beat the Titans.
And he's coming to Vegas because there's a doubleheader Monday night next week.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got game 2, Atlanta. Atlanta said Cousins is coming to Vegas, who's an absolute mess, P-Roll. Number 1 pick in the draft as of right now.
No.
The Vegas Raiders, yeah.
Vegas is. Yeah. Sorry, I was like Atlanta. I was like, no, Vegas is. Yes.
Number 1 pick in the draft.
According to David Portnoy, he was on an elevator with Antonio Pierce, and he was wearing a Patriots hat. And he goes, "You a Patriot fan?" And Dave said to Pierce, "Yeah." And he goes, "Huh? It's us versus you for the number 1 pick." It's a head coach of a team. Like, fade the Raiders the rest of the year. And now Aiden O'Connell broke his leg or busted his knee, whatever happened to him yesterday. He's out for the year. Like,
bye-bye.
Fade the Raiders the rest of the way. The Raiders are going. They're going for the 1 pick. They are tanking for the 1 seed, which is great. I have an under 6.5 win ticket on the Raiders. I have an under 6.5 on the Titans. Both those bets look good with the way those teams are playing. So
Atlanta is a 4.5 point favorite here.
Wow.
In Vegas on Monday night. How bad is Atlanta?
Yep.
They're 4.5 point favorites.
And Vegas is horrible because they're dogs to that team at home.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Tonight, Bengals on the road to the Cowboys. Totals 49.5.
I somehow got to go on Sports Grid.
Enjoy that. Enjoy that. The best numbers so far is this. Teams have scored 30 or more 30 times since the 1st of November. They're 28-2 straight up. The 2 losses were the Bengals.
Over to?
You better believe it. 12-4 to the over.
I mean, this is over to.
12-4 to the over. 2 absolute garbage can defenses.
I'm just going to do the show for an hour and just keep saying over.
Over. See, over. Well,
what about the side?
Over.
I don't know. Over.
Over.
Over what? Over everything. Over.
Over everything. Doesn't matter what. It opened up at 44.5. That was a look ahead. The opening number back in the summer.
44.5?
The summer. It was 44.5. Now it's 49. Wow. Now it's 49.5.
Wow. Yeah. This is going to be, come on. It's a good night to do laundry.
It's a good night to do anything but watch this game. This game sucks. I would agree, but I bet the over. So here we are. Yeah, better to book a time over 49.5.
Bet.
So I'm gonna correlate this. So I like the over. Cooper Rush over 1.5 touchdown passes is plus 148.
Bet.
So I bet it. I was like,
you've seen the Bengals defense, right? Yeah. If you haven't, you should.
Lamb over 66.5 yards receiving.
Yes, bet.
They're going to shred the Bengals secondary. Yes, they're going to throw all over them. And then I think Joe Burrow is going to throw all over the Cowboys too.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be like an old school Big 12 game. No defense, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the Big 12 title game was played on this field over the weekend. In that game went over. So we're going to have back-to-back overs on this field.
You can see it, right?
Yeah.
You can see when other teams play at places like that. You saw Arizona State looked like they were fast as hell. Like there's fast tracks. That's a thing. The game in Indy, the Big Ten game, had no shot of going under.
Yep.
Saw it early, knew it. This is going over tonight because both teams, are not playing defense
at all. One college basketball game in the Big Ten. Indiana. I'm going to lay 10 with Indiana at home against Minnesota. Gophers suck.
Not too many points here?
Indiana has been killing people at home. This is the Gophers' first true road game. They've lost 2 games at home this year, and they're coming off of a game where they lost 90-72 to Michigan State.
I'll say book it just because I like getting 10 points rather than laying 10 points, but I really don't know.
House 10-point win going to Kempom for Indiana. So we're on the number for that. Favorite thing about today is what?
Well, obviously it was like, I mean, we just had Kenny Mayne on and Neil Everett for almost an hour or 50 minutes, whatever it was, just hanging out, going back and forth, talking about, Kenny making a movie called Whiffle Ball, Neil talking about whatever he wanted. It was a great promo for the show.
Kenny to do your job. That's my favorite line. He's like, yeah, do your job. It was great.
How about, did you see how excited Kenny was to correct Neil?
Yeah.
When he said something, because Neil had to correct him for.
Called him John Anderson. They both worked with John Anderson. He was a former Sports Center anchor. You mean John Williams, you mean? Not John Anderson. John Anderson we used to work with. I was like, that was tremendous. I was like, that's just too good.
It was so good. But yeah, obviously that was the favorite thing about today. The other thing I had planned to say was that Dave Parker finally got in the Hall of Fame. My first all-time favorite player.
Nice.
As a kid growing
Veterans
up
Committee
in Pittsburgh. No, you voted in him and Dick Allen. I didn't see the votes and everything yet, but he has terrible Parkinson's now. So I don't know how the speech is going to go and all this other stuff, but that was a really cool thing to see that he finally, after waiting all this time and, not getting in, he was on the 1979 World Series Pirates team and then the 1989 Oakland A's team that beat it was 1989 that beat the Giants, the Bay Area series, I think it was. Either way, that was going to be my favorite thing about today. But my goodness, if you go back and listen, watch the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell somebody there's 2 Bubba Lukes that are doing this BVB thing that somehow are connected to a couple Sports Center guys and absolutely killed it today on the show. It was great.
That was, I mean, I think we have done the quad box 2 times, and both times were epic, unbelievable, wild experiences.
Who was the other one? I thought that was the first quad box.
No,
ever.
We had Fitzy. That's what we built it for.
Oh,
built it for Fitzy and Emerson.
Oh,
we had Fitzy and Emerson on together with us when it was the Patriots and the Jaguars.
Yeah, and he did that thing
going back and forth. And he was like, he made fun of him. And he was like, you'd be like Emerson trying to sneak a vape. What the fuck was that? It was like, what other great thing is that I don't know how many times, I guess I swore twice today, that I don't know, 10-1 in terms of Kenny Mayne swearing. Like hearing Kenny Mayne swear is like the greatest thing ever.
Phenomenal.
It's the greatest thing ever. Listening to Kenny Mayne swear.
Phenomenal.
And he says, I don't know what line we said, fuck you something. I was like, that's
Spencer, Neil's nephew. Yeah. That's just so,
fuck you, Spencer.
So there are so many times that if you go back, and I have them saved on my phone, like Neil would shout me or the girls out.
Nice.
Like he would say, my friend Dave Sherapan this, or my friend Dave Sherapan that. And then I would go to work and they'd be like, your guy said your name on SportsCenter last night. There were times I wasn't watching. I would get the text. Neil just did it again. And he would shout the girls out. He's like, Kylie and Kelsey and this and that, whatever. But he used to do the Spencer bit all the time. And Spencer's a real kid who watched the show. And then he would text Neil how to say the names and correct. So the fuck you, Spencer, is real. It's so funny.
It's so good.
So funny.
Spencer. He's on a t-shirt. BVB Brigade. Fuck you, Spencer.
That's great. We gotta get one made and send it to the boat.
Or just have on the side, give a BB hat that says "fuck you, Spencer," "f you, Spencer" on it. Go ahead and send it to him. It'd be so good. Oh, that'd be so good. Oh, I mean, yeah. So if you're watching the show now or listening back or whatever, like go back and like relive that, because I can't wait to go back and relive that. And I was telling my brothers, I go, do you guys know who Kenny Mayne and Neil Everett are? And they're like, no, who is that? And I was like, mother, it's like, watch this show and you'll figure out who these guys are. Because these guys are 2 titans in our industry. and guys that made sports fun, made broadcasting fun, made Sports Center fun. Just so good on so many levels. So good. On the way out, Stevie, I forgot about this. Sorry. Where would we seed Uga with Beck's injury? Same place. They won the SEC. So until we know
drop them from there.
I mean,
I don't think that would be fair.
It sucks for Florida State, but the Stockton kid played and won the game. Florida State lost when the kid got hurt for Florida State. When Travis got hurt for Florida State, they looked like ass and they lost.
Right.
Stockton came in and played well, and I think they may actually be better with Stockton. He's a 5-star quarterback with an absolute cannon for an arm. I was stunned by that kid.
Right.
And now he gets a whole month to prep to be the guy with the ones.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's fine. I think they're fine. they got, I think Beck may have been impeding that kid. That kid probably should have played.
Did you see him get his helmet knocked off?
Yeah. He put right back up and kept going.
Tough kid. My God.
He can throw. Like that kid, that ball comes out differently. Like when he spins it, it's like, oh boy. Okay. He was going to go with Mike Bobo to, I forget where he was before, but he's been working in that offense with the offensive coordinator. He's been wanting to be just part of that offense for 4 years. So like he's been waiting for this chance. So this is not like he has to reload the playbook or it's going to be somewhat of like an over his head thing. Like he knows the playbook.
That whole game was really, really good. And then Beck coming in and handing the ball off to actually get the kid in.
That was amazing. That was a fucking movie.
Was just like,
couldn't believe it.
College football, bro. Was awesome.
I wonder if he said something like, guys, I need one play. Like I'm here for one play. Like we got to score right now. It was a 4-yard run. It wasn't like a QB sneak. Like they had to get a blow hole in there to let ETN run in the end zone. That was cool.
Well, they had to. I mean, there was no other. I think they only had 2 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah, he had to. But like that's a movie. He comes in.
Right.
He's when you watch the first time against Georgia Tech, I thought he blew his elbow out in that game. When he reached back and the kid from Georgia Tech grabbed his arm and he hurt his arm.
Oh,
that's at halftime of the first game.
Oh.
I thought he heard it then. And then for it to happen again, the same exact way at halftime, the same exact way with somebody grabbing his arm, and that's what snapped the elbow. Like 100%, that's Tommy John surgery. Like he has a ripped UCL ligament. Like that looks so fucking painful when that happened to him. I was like, man alive, that poor kid. And that for a quarterback can kill your draft stock next year. Kill it. Like awful injury for him. That's why I love the NIL world. Because when stuff like that happens, he's good. He was quarterback for Georgia. He's good. So guys, thanks for being here. Back tomorrow on a Tuesday. I don't think it'll be nearly as epic, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you for being here. We'll always be talking about this show and referencing this show for a while. Thank you to Neil Everett. Thank you to Kenny Mayne. Super fun day. Thank you guys in the brigade. He's Dave. I'm Matt. We're back tomorrow for a Tuesday's BBB.